let our polluting powers combine! Super radiation!
Deforestation!
Smog! Toxic!
Hate! Your polluting powers combined, I am Captain Pollution!
No pollution!
Welcome to WYCD Wicked. That stands for What You Can Do. And it's debate night, folks. We're seeing who will get to be Captain Pollution. How are you doing, Wicked Foxy Dragon? Good to see you. We are starting just a wee bit early because, you know, I want to let them go. I want to let them cook. They're going to burn it, whatever it is. But, yeah, I want to listen to what they have to say and then tear into it like a bag of Lay's. How you doing? Who are you excited to see? These are the questions I have for you. Rustbox, howdy. Good to see you, my friend. Let me tell you who we're looking at tonight. I've come up with a helpful breakdown. Yeah. I'll share. We'll do it starting there. Groovy. So here's who we're looking at. And I apologize to CBS News. I'm about to boot you. But this little graphic I found to be quite helpful. So let's jump to it. So up here, we have them listed. There, beautiful. Let's see. We have Asa Hutchinson. He was the governor of Arkansas from 2015 to 2023. We have Doug Burgum. He's the governor of North Dakota. Recently let us down by disproving the Achilles myth. Fun fact about Burgum. We're going to get back to him in a minute. Vivek Ramaswamy is an entrepreneur in the field of con artistry. We have Mike Pence. He's a disgraced former DJ. Nikki Haley, the former governor of South Carolina, who did one good thing in her 2 terms. Chris Christie, former governor of New Jersey, famous for shutting down a bridge in an attempt to get revenge on a political rival. And then Tim Scott. He's a South Carolina senator whose favorite song is Like a Virgin. Domenico, good to see you. Pinkerbell, hello. Yes, indeed. Wicked Foxy Dragon Christie, I want to see how he takes the asses home. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. I have a feeling this is going to be the high water mark for Chris Christie. That's I think a safe assumption. Nobody else currently feels brave enough to actually talk seriously about
and to tell stories in a way that really has authenticity and humanity to it is a small contribution.
Yeah, and
I don't think anybody else really has the guts to talk seriously about Donald Trump, which means as the only brave person in the room, he'll stand out. But I also think that the others will quickly realize that they have no choice. They have to talk seriously about Donald Trump, and it will become easier as the accusations pile up. Oh, I can't wait. Ooh, I cannot wait for Christie specifically to tear into Mike Pence for sniffing around for every possible way he could betray the country before doing so. And I want to find out what's Mike Pence's secret hand. that he's been holding. He's dumb, but he's not that dumb. And he's surrounded by yes folks of all stripes. But he can watch the news. He can read a poll. He understands he's not well liked. So why does he think he's going to be president? Or rather, even, why is he running? I mean, why does a former vice president run, if not to be president? Where do you go that's up from there? I mean, if you actually cared about running the government, there's all kinds of answers to that. You could hope to be made Secretary of State or Transportation or this, that, or the other thing if you actually gave a shit. But remember, we're talking about the Republican primary debates, so they don't care about being put in positions where they can help people. They want personal power. So Mike Pence, in other words, I'm sure, has a hand he's going to play that he has not yet revealed. And I'm also sure it won't be sufficient, and he will not be the president. But watching him try and seeing how bloody he can get his primary opponents, that's going to be a hoot and a half, and I just can't wait. What are you guys looking forward to most? Ooh. Yes, indeed, Wireless Mike. Early start. Hello, good to see you. Yeah, what are you looking forward to in the debate tonight? What is there anybody you're hoping to hear from, and what are you hoping they'll do? Let me know. We'll go over that in a moment. Although, let me tell you about Doug Burgum, because I think he is classic Republican. Classic. Now, we're going to go with the independent here. So there was hoops you had to jump through to get in this primary. The reason for this was because there were a lot of folks that saw opportunity in the Republican primaries. If you'll recall, we had the same thing, but 4 years hence. Remember when we had that billionaire Starbucks douchebag trying to run as a Democrat? Yeah, people see an opportunity to improve their personal lives by running, and this is no different. Doug Burgum, in an attempt to jump through the necessary hoops, he needed more people actually giving a shit about his candidacy. And that was supposed to be expressed by donations, the number of donations one received. And because nobody actually gave a damn about him, this is what he did. Biden supporters exploit Republicans' $1 donation cashback campaign pledge. I give you $1. I gave $1 to you and $20 to Biden. Republican presidential candidate and North Dakota Governor Doug Burgum is offering $20 gift cards to donors who give $1 to his campaign. But some supporters of Joe Biden say that they have been funneling the gift card money to the president's re-election campaign. Mr. Burgum's campaign site says, donate $1 and receive a $20 gift card. Now, wait a minute, you might ask. Wait a minute. Why is he doing that? That doesn't result in a gain of money. That's a net loss of $19, even if you ignore the cost of processing the transaction. That's still a net loss of money. So why would he do that if he's trying to raise money? Because he's not trying to raise money, because he's trying to start an AstroTurf campaign. That's what he is trying to do. Republicans laundering money is the same as saying fish swimming in water. It's what they do. They are you ready for it, a criminal organization. So the hustle he was running was that if you give him $1, he will pay you $20. Is that illegal? Apparently not. It's awfully public, and the DOJ isn't acting, so I guess it's not illegal. However, some donors say they are taking advantage of the extra cash and sending it to the incumbent. One Twitter user wrote, "I gave Doug Burnham $1, or Burgum $1, so he would send me $20. Then I gave the $20 to Joe Biden." He attached photos of his donations. Another user tweeted that he donated $1 to Doug Burgum and turned around and donated $20 to Joe Biden. Yet another said, "Okay, I gave him $1, and when my $20 gift card arrives, I will give Biden Harris a $19 contribution in honor of Doug Burgum." Then this jackass brags, "We passed the 40,000 mark today. We've got more gift cards to give out. We're going to keep on going," the North Dakota governor said, indicating he reached the unique donor threshold to qualify for the GOP presidential primary in August. Hey, real quick, let's figure out how much that is. He passed the 40,000 mark and said he was willing to keep going. Now, I'm going to assume some of his donations were genuine. I don't think he knows anybody that would donate in $1 increments to a campaign. But let me just do this real quick. $20 multiplied by 40, good God, thousand. So this guy had $800,000 to hand out. $800,000 in order to reach the number of unique donors. That's rough, folks. I mean, that guy has too much money just lying around for screwing over the American people, in my humble opinion. Ooh. Fox. Interesting. Fox is also live, and I'm half tempted. I really am half tempted to play them. But let's see. Let's see if we can get a slightly more newsy news channel. Because Fox is saying police chase in L.A., stolen vehicle, suspect near Dodger Stadium. It's almost as though they're downplaying the Republican debates, and that's fascinating. Oh, mercy. Well, Brian Tyler Cohen's live. Don't let me advertise that cat. He's popular enough. God damn. Oh, they are watching it on Fox. Son of a gun. Well, that'll probably be the route we go. Oh, David Pakman, my God. Oh. Well, while I'm pulling that up, if I had Pinkerbell, if I had $800,000 to burn my town, my town would get a new park or something. Yeah, exactly. Wicked Foxy Dragon on Brian Tyler Cohen, future ex-husband there. Absolutely, absolutely. Oh. Wicked Foxy Dragon, referring, I think, to Doug Burgum. He actually asked if he could do it. All right, fair enough. Let me give credit where it's due, then. It's very much against the spirit of what they were demanding. But that I can't knock him. If he asked and they said, fair enough. Well, hell, if CNN's playing it, that's where I'm going to watch. Let's pull this up. Sorry, folks. My initial stream that I was going to use is not going to be live after all. Oh, well. So we are pulling up the Fox News stream. They are not yet covering the debate. That's okay. We will jump in with them when they do. In the meantime, let's talk more about who these folks are. So we're looking at the candidates who have qualified for the first debate. Again, that is Asa Hutchinson, Doug Burgum, Chris Christie, Ron DeSantis, Nikki Haley, Mike Pence, Vivek Ramaswamy, and Tim Scott. We talked about Doug Burgum. He ran the scam to get in there, but he did get in there, and he, as Wicked Foxy Dragon said, the guy asked if it was okay, so fair enough. Chris Christie has been making a name for himself by actually calling what Trump did what it was. It was a betrayal of the country. He has said that he is going to not pardon Trump, I believe. So it's really sad that we have to parse through all of these folks for one person willing to say they won't let a criminal get away with a crime, but here we are. See if I can pull up their picture there. Yeah. Good God Almighty. Here are the candidates. Maybe a little bit more. Yeah. Here's the candidates. Chris Christie really has been the only one going hard. I think he will be joined by others after this. Ron DeSantis, we know. He is the governor of Florida, Satan's favorite little boy, and there is a special spot in hell being warmed up for him. He picked a fight with Disney because they dared to suggest that homosexuals are human beings. And I believe every night he eats a live kitten in front of its mother. I think that's the one that's DeSantis. I don't know. Let me do the Republican version of that. People are saying that every night Ron DeSantis eats a kitten, and not in a fun euphemism sort of way. He straight up devours a cat's child in front of it because he's Ron DeSantis. Nikki Haley, what was the good thing she did that I was referencing earlier? She had a Confederate flag removed from a public installation. That's the high watermark we're talking about here. It does not take much. Tinkerbell, I don't think he really thinks he can win. He seems to just want to humiliate Trump, talking about Chris Christie. That might be true. That might be true. I do think that every one of these folks is surrounded by a group of people saying, you're going to be president. And I believe, I could see them genuinely believing that this is their destiny, you know? But he's also, I mean, your assessment's pretty darn good because he's been doing this for a good long time. And he should be able to read the polls as well. I do want. How much time do we have? Oh, it's going to start any moment. Tell you what, let's just pop over to their coverage because on Fox they are currently talking about something that I would love to talk with you all about. There we go. That's right. Prigozhin, the Yevgeny Prigozhin, the son of a that is thought to have been involved in tampering with the 2016 election, the head of the Wagner Group, the guy who did a light coup, a little light coup against Putin. Well, he was in. So unfortunate. A plane crash earlier today over a part of Russia where you would want a plane to crash if you had to choose. Yeah, right there in that field. Now you might be asking, how did they know it was Prigozhin that was on the plane so quickly? And truly, I don't know. I just assume they asked the fighter pilot. But, you know, who knows? But yeah, Prigozhin is, he got right there. Let me see if I can get that off the screen for a second. Sure. You get the actual moment off the screen. Okay. And the reason being there were 9 other people on the plane. So, out of respect for them, I hope that all of them didn't feel any pain. That sucks. I hope Putin is haunted by this guy. I assume this guy will be introducing Putin at Christmas time to 3 other extraordinarily Russian ghosts. All right, let's hear what they had to say.
Embarrassed that it was happening to his country there, and what we all know about Putin there is he doesn't forget.
Well, he doesn't forget. And the other thing I would point out is that, in June, there was speculation of what would happen when, of course, the Wagner Group went into Rostov, basically occupied the southern region headquarters, and then sent a force up the highway heading up towards Moscow and got pretty darn far before they turned back and headed back. And then there was the agreement brokered with President Lukashenko of Belarus that Wagner Group and Prigozhin could go to Belarus. And for a short period of time, Prigozhin was in Belarus, and then he wasn't in Belarus. And then he seemed to be.
Who the hell is pronouncing it wrong? Myself and every other human being on Earth that I've ever heard have pronounced it Belarus. But maybe it is Belarus. Maybe.
It was really somewhat perplexing, which is how could someone challenge the regime, the Putin regime like this, and then be walking free? And back in late June, after this attempt, if you will, or I should say a couple weeks after the attempt, there was a lot of thoughts that maybe what they're going to do is allow Prigozhin to basically run around, do whatever he does, and then at some point, some catastrophic event will befall him where they can claim that it was an accident. And I have to say, this fits that scenario, that prediction to a T, almost to exactly when they said that something like this would happen. And it's interesting, the plane went down not right after takeoff in Moscow, where it would be over a heavily populated area, not coming into St. Petersburg, where again it would be in a heavily populated area. It went down in an area of Russia which is very sparsely populated. The chances of it hitting somebody on the ground were absolutely minimal. So if you to plan when to take out an aircraft like this somewhere over Russian airspace, this would be probably where you would do it. and certainly the timing fits. There is no absolute proof that this was an intentional thing, but you have to look at this. First off, statistically, the chance of an accident, a mechanical failure, or something like this happening to an aircraft that Prigozhin is on in August in Russian airspace, statistically very small, that would be a happenstance, if you will. Also, if you look at the aircraft, it's very clear, as I mentioned earlier, that is not under any way, shape, or form under control, which indicates that something catastrophic has happened on the aircraft where the pilot has no control over the descent, which would be consistent with either being hit with an air defense missile, possibly, or if there was an explosive device of some sort aboard the aircraft. And then I would go back historically in Russia and with Russian proxies like Saddam Hussein, Iraq, taking out or eliminating, assassinating, if you will, for officials that they have fallen into disfavor by bringing down the aircraft, is historically something that has happened quite a bit. In fact, there was a period of time under Saddam Hussein where we kind of felt a little bit sorry for the helicopter pilots in Iraq, because that seemed to be Saddam Hussein's preferred method of taking out generals that he had found some level of.
So, I don't know, folks. This is not at all surprising to me. How about to you? Pinker Bell, member for 1 month. Welcome. Thank you. Man, is this a surprise to you? Yeah, Rustbox, if you come at the king, exactly. And Pinker Bell, really dumb of him to get on a plane, to be honest. Yes. I don't know. I really wonder if this guy was even expecting to live. I don't know what he thought he was going to accomplish with his little march. I think maybe he was hoping that Russians would pour out into the street and join him, which did not happen. What happened was pretty much what would happen here. The people were comfortable, but not loyal. They were comfortable, but not proud. They were comfortable, but that only motivates them to do nothing. Not to fight off the invaders, nor to resist. So what happened? The people went on with their daily lives. They didn't care who was holding the whip. They knew they were going to get a dictator that doesn't give a damn about them, regardless. So, yeah, that's the end of Prigozhin. I'll say this. I'm glad he's not going to go terrorize Africa. I know that Wagner is going to be sent to Africa to terrorize it. I know that the World War Africa, which is brewing up over there between a couple of countries right now, is still going to be made worse by the presence of Wagner, but there will be one less miserable Russian there to make the situation worse. So that's the end of that equation. Fair enough. Now, hopefully, Putin can do us a favor and have an aneurysm, and then we'll genuinely have a great evening. I'll also say this. I am going to be fascinated by watching the Republican candidates tonight who don't actually give a damn at all about world events. Try to answer questions about this. I wonder which of them will have no idea who this guy is. That's going to be interesting. I'm going to just assume Asa Hutchinson won't know. Nikki Haley will know. And Chris Christie will know. Mike Pence might have been briefed on it. Ron DeSantis will have no idea, despite the fact that he's a massive fan of dictators. Tim Scott's a maybe. Vivek Ramaswamy, no. Are any of them really going to talk about policy? Asks Wicked Foxy Dragon. No, not seriously. Because if they talk seriously about the things they want to do, they will expose the fact that it will be of no benefit to you or anybody that makes under $10 million a year. So they will mutually and silently amongst themselves agree that they will not talk about policy. God damn, Fox News. Raise the bar a tiny little bit. How many times do we need to see this plane crashing? I realize you have a producer in the room saying, oh, you got it. That's the money shot. Play it over and over. Loop it. Don't listen to that person. That person doesn't have a soul. And sometimes it's useful to have them in the room, but you do have to know when you don't listen to the soulless producer. And this is one such time. It's fine that he's dead. The world is better off for that guy being gone. But there were 9 other people on the plane. Let's not spike the football, so to speak. It's gauche, believe it or not. Oh God, I am champing at the bit to get to get to the debate. I do not want. Oh, Trump's giving a speech. Started streaming 10 hours ago. That doesn't seem right. Let's see. Are they starting yet? No. Still no. Ryan Tyler Cohen, do you have it yet? Still no. Everybody's got that same damn Ukraine footage. All right. I'm going to leave us on here because I don't want to get fooled. I don't want to miss it. You all know I will miss it if we jump off. Oh, Lordy Lou. So talking about, all right, I'll pull it up, but nope. I'll pull it up, but keep a hairy eye on it. So talking about these folks, let's talk about what would be the best case scenario for America if one of these people actually made it into office. I'm talking a scenario where Joe Biden gets on a plane with Prigozhin's family and accidentally catches the follow-up accident. And then we got like Kamala Harris going up against one of these folks because Trump's been shanked. And who's most likely to win? I honestly think Chris Christie or a no-name. Truly, honestly, Vivek Ramaswamy would give her a run for her money, but there would just be no turnout. He's gutsy enough, but he can't take the temperature of a room. So that would be the end. I would worry, I guess, most about Chris Christie. He's a savage, which is necessary. He is able to control himself, which is also necessary. He doesn't overcommit to arguments. He doesn't fall for verbal debate traps quite so much. I think he could rattle some teeth on the debate stage, and it's why I'm excited to see him tonight. Oh, hell yeah, folks. Do you know what time it is? I know what time it is. Break time. Not debate time. I was so excited. Ah. So yeah, I think Chris Christie's probably the biggest actual threat. And by the way, he would be super destructive in the White House. We're at a point where even a Democrat in the White House is destructive. And it's simply or at the very least, they fail to be constructive at a time when we have desperate need of rebuilding. They tend to just even things out and stabilize things, really. And that's what Joe Biden has done. I got to give him credit. He has done that. Chris Christie would be destructive. And what scares me about a Chris Christie presidency is that it would all look very formal and very appropriate and very polite. And the result would still be the hell on earth that these folks collectively are working very hard to create. The global temperature would keep shooting up. He would deregulate more and more, allow companies to just, I don't know, burn poor people's furniture to generate electricity or whatever the hell it is that they want to do. People like Asa Hutchinson and Doug Burgum, I don't think, let me put it like this, I think they have been able to separate themselves from normal people who actually have to do genuine work. The word for that might even be the working class. They've had to separate them, or they've been able to separate themselves from that class of people, and they've chosen to for so long that now they find themselves in a place where they have to communicate to those people, and they are unable to. So I think there is going to be almost no waves whatsoever made by them. I think aside from the fact that Doug Burgum got in a very amusing way, there will be nothing of note from those people. But this is politics, which means no matter what, I will be wrong. So let's find out.
Tomorrow, after the Georgia probe and the charges that he faces there right now, though, there have been other co-defendants who have already turned themselves in there to authorities in Georgia. And just a little bit ago this evening, we got this statement in on Truth Social from the former president. It says the indictments against me should be viewed as a campaign contribution to crooked Joe Biden and his radical left thugs. This will be their updated form of cheating and election interference. Remember, these are Biden indictments, pure and simple. In the meantime, though, we want to get to a story we were bringing you just before the commercial break. That big story today out of Russia as a plane crash there outside of Moscow killed 10 people, with reports that Prigozhin was one of the 10 on board.
So, Trump crimes. Let's talk about it in the context of the debate tonight. God, I'm getting horrible flashbacks looking at that. That is an OTT studio. Ugh. She's working hard. I know she's working for the devil, but let's at least acknowledge that she's working hard tonight. When you have weird events at a time like this, it is usually the digital producer that ends up carrying that baton, and it's not a fun night. It's just not I mean, all right, it's actually fun, but it's not an easy night. Let's say that. All right, back to it. How effed up is it that all of these cats that are running tonight, that are on the stage tonight, all of them are behind somebody who is literally accused of trying to sabotage democracy? Like, if you ever need to know, you ever wonder, is this rock bottom or does it get lower? If you're a Republican voter, this is rock bottom. I'm helping you out by letting you know this is it. Everybody who qualified for the debate in the Republican primaries, every one of them is trailing behind somebody who stands accused by the government of subverting democracy. That's it for your party. That is the whole ball game. Pick a better party. literally any, because you're supporting a criminal organization. Let's hear what this guy has to say, who couldn't be bothered to put on a tie. Apparently, he didn't know this was happening tonight.
Affected, landed on a Ukrainian airstrip. Russia has a
withdrawn. They're talking about Ukraine. He literally, or rather Prigozhin, he literally didn't know this was happening. I withdraw my criticism.
So within the last 24 hours, there's been a lot of movement in this conflict. The crash itself is drawing a lot of speculation, of course. The aircraft was in the air for about 20 minutes by publicly available radar data. And then at 28,000 feet, it just stops sending all data. The aircraft in social media posts appears to fall to the ground in a rural area, and some folks were able to actually catch some of this on camera, but a lot of speculation as to if it was the same plane that Prigozhin was on. You see the wreckage on the ground, and it's got the same engine nacelle, the same navy blue color, and it does appear to be the same plane, but was he on the plane is the big question. Now, the state media for Russia says that he was on the manifest. In fact, we're getting an air raid siren now. I'm going to have to apologize. Toss back to you. We're going to need to go inside.
Yeah. Stay safe out there, Zach.
Thank you so much, Zach, reporting. He's the ghost of one of the passengers that was on the plane. Thank you, spectral reporter Zach.
Play out this new story that we just got in from Fox's Jennifer Griffin that we had attempted to play right before that interview with Zach there. So let's play this out next for you here on Live Now from Fox.
The man known as Vladimir Putin's chef because of the billion-dollar contracts he obtained catering to the Russian military and later set up the vicious mercenary group that carried out Putin's wishes, was killed in a fiery plane crash north of Moscow 2 months after he attempted a coup against the heads of the Russian military and sent his forces on the road to Moscow, challenging Putin's authority and embarrassing the Russian leader. The private plane on which Yevgeny Prigozhin and 9 others were manifested was shot out of the sky by an apparent Russian air defense missile near Tver. The 62-year-old Wagner chief was seen in this video a day earlier recruiting mercenaries to fight in Africa.
We are working. The temperature is 50 degrees Celsius above zero. Everything is how we like it. Wagner is continuing reconnaissance and search activities, making Russia even greater on all continents. We are recruiting real strongmen.
Shortly after news of the crash, Putin was at a concert pinning awards on soldiers to commemorate the World War II Battle of Kursk. Putin could not travel to South Africa to meet President Xi of China and the prime ministers of India and Brazil because of an International Criminal Court warrant for his arrest for war crimes. Last month, the head of the CIA predicted Prigozhin's imminent demise.
Putin is the ultimate apostle of payback, so I would be surprised if Prigozhin escapes further retribution for this. So in that sense, the president's right. If I were Prigozhin, I wouldn't fire my food taster.
President Biden
Okay. All right, well, first of all, humorous stuff. Second of all, credit where it's due. Christy Z. Psst, the discarded orange foreskin gets his mugshot tomorrow. I have never wanted to see the mugshot less.
The disastrous war in Ukraine led to a private army marching on Moscow,
well done.
And now it would seem to this. At the Pentagon, Jennifer Griffin, Fox News.
All right, well, it is just about 8:30 Eastern, and that means that we
go.
are about 30 minutes out from the first GOP debate as we give you a live look here from Milwaukee. The stage is set, the podiums are there, and the 8 candidates are ready. That includes Doug Burgum, who we weren't sure if was going to make the debate after an injury today. We're going to be bringing you a live report from Milwaukee coming up after this quick commercial break. Stick with us, much more to come. We'll be right back.
Oh, the quick commercial break. Let's go to this instead. Every time, huh? Every single time. That's okay. That injury she was talking about. I got to do my my tails. The injury was it's nothing. He was riding a bicycle and he injured his Achilles, whatever the hell it's called. He's fine. That's all. I wasn't sure he was going to get in the debate because I genuinely wasn't sure if that stunt he pulled was going to fly. But I guess so. I did not know that he had cleared it beforehand, and for some reason that puts it in a different column for me. That puts it in the charming rascal column. But there can't be. They're just, of all the people who don't plan on being president, I got to put money on Burgum. What is he trying? What's he trying to do? What in the most charitable that I can imagine? Burgum's gonna go out there and rip into Trump and rip into other Republicans and say, "You all have lost the light. Y'all have lost the true way, and I'm going to return us to it." And then pretend like traditional Republican policy wasn't terrible for the United States. That's the angle I could see. It would be hilarious, though, if he tried to do a Trump and he's like, "I'm only on the stage because I bought my way here. I will burst through the doors in all kinds of ways, whatever ways are necessary. But the point is, I get things like if he really leaned into it. But I doubt that because he doesn't have the swagger. Kill a W Dog. Who are the 8 candidates? I can think of like 3. That's okay. I put down a sarcastic description for them. Let's run them down. Asa Hutchinson is he was the governor of Arkansas from 2015 to 2023. Doug Burgum, he's the governor of North Dakota, recently let us down by disproving the Achilles myth. Vivek Ramaswamy is an entrepreneur. That's basically it. So he's a con artist. Mike Pence is a disgraced former radio talk show host. And I suppose also at one point the vice president of the United States under Trump. Nikki Haley, former governor of South Carolina. She was elected in the aughts at some point. I don't remember when. I think 2010. And then reelected a couple years later. Or rather, I'm not sure if there was a gap in between. But she was the governor of South Carolina for some time. Chris Christie, former governor of New Jersey. The most notable thing about him is that he was involved in a scandal where on election day he shut down a bridge that was necessary for or shut down a couple of lanes in a bridge. It caused a massive traffic jam and stopped a lot of people from voting for a person he didn't like. He was also the person that helped Trump prepare for debates. So notably good at debating. Tim Scott, South Carolina senator. I believe he's the junior senator since 2013. His favorite song is Like a Virgin because that's how he does it. And what's notable about his political career? He damn near actually got some police reform bills passed in the wake of George Floyd and that national nightmare. But then he didn't. And he was teaming up with a Democrat, and of course Tim Scott, as the Republican, was trying to water the bills down as much as possible. And in the end, both the Democrat and the Republican backed out. So Tim Scott has done nothing good for anyone. That matters anyway. He's done plenty of good for if you happen to be a billionaire that for some reason chooses to live in South Carolina. And not, I don't know where billionaires normally live. The Moon, I guess. Not my neighborhood. None of them, for that matter, have done any good for anybody except Nikki Haley. She did order a Confederate flag be taken down. from a I think it was a military base, but whatever it was owned by the government and therefore representative of the people, and it was a disgrace that the Confederate flag was allowed to fly there. So credit where it is due. Nikki Haley, out of all of those miserable bastards, Nikki Haley did one good thing. Let's hear what people at the debate are talking about.
It is just like worlds are colliding. I don't know how they're all going to deal with it in the debate and whether it will come up. I kind of feel like people don't want to know about all that. I've been talking to a lot of people ahead of the debate, and there are a lot of Republicans who are here as guests of different candidates who want to they just want to hear what people have to say about certain issues. They want to know about COVID. They want to know about Ukraine. They want to know about the economy. And maybe this will be like a debate from the old days where it was a little bit boring and they actually talk about issues, but maybe not.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, too. Will it be kept to the issues? Brett Baer, Martha McCallum, great moderators. Or will there be those moments, those viral moments everyone's talking about tomorrow morning, the fireworks, per se? And if there are, who do we think they're going to be between?
Well, and it's not only fireworks. Is it fireworks that could propel a campaign to gain a few points, or is it going to be fireworks that make them spiral and they drop out of the race? I expect Chris Christie to be pounding against DeSantis. I expect DeSantis to be forthright and pushing back, too. I mean, he's the guy that is leading in this pack right here. And so, the thinking is that a lot of folks are not criticizing Donald Trump because his supporters aren't going to leave anyway. So instead, they're going to focus on the candidates on the stage to try to, pull in some of their support to bring it in. And I don't know.
I also wanted to bring up, too, there are going to be some candidates on that stage the American people don't really know much about. I'm talking about Vivek Ramaswamy. I'm talking about Doug Burgum. Even I would say, yeah.
Doug Burgum has a terrible leg injury. He's going to be limping out there. We just saw him on do a little TV break, and he looked verklempt. He was in pain or sad. I'm not sure. I don't know how he's going to be in the debate.
Yeah, he tore his Achilles playing on the basketball court. That must have been his debate prep. He was in a boot and on a crutch today. And you're right. He kind of choked up. He broke down. He was determined. He posted a tweet on his social media account saying, no, he's still ready. I'm paraphrasing here, but he kind of said, if I can stand up there for 2 hours on one leg, that's how much I will do for the American people. It's a good line.
Right. It's a very good line. I don't know who's going to have the big moment. Hopefully Doug will be able to stand the whole time for that debate. That would be good. And, everybody's going to be watching. I think there are some issues that they will disagree on, and that could be really interesting to watch. Over Ukraine, I think Chris Christie, Nikki Haley. I think there will be some differences on how they approach some of those issues.
That's the only thing of substance that they might disagree on. And it's going to come down to who's taken Russian bribes, who is literally, who is courting Russian interference in this election on their behalf. That's what they're going to try to be accomplishing. Let's be crystal clear. There is one correct answer. Ukraine is getting invaded by Russia. Ukraine is an ally of ours. We don't let our allies get taken over, and that's that. That Republican, Democrat, whether your eyes are closed or open, we need to all be on the same page there. We are not going back to the early 1900s, where new borders are established because you put a gun in somebody's face. No, we're not doing that. We simply will not. So, full support for Ukraine, period, end of story, and that's that. And if anybody's up there saying, well, there'll be peace in one single day because I know the secret magic words. I know Putin's secret name. It's a lie. What they are talking about doing is surrendering. They are such cowards. They're talking about surrendering in a war we don't even actually have to fight. We're just buying the bullets because we have so many goddamn military killing machines that we literally have a war's worth to spare. So by all means, let Ukraine tear Putin a new bum. Speaking of the funniest GD thing I've read in a while, John Bailey, MAGA, my ass got arrested. Yes, indeed. John Bailey, I'm going to watch the debate on Fox and David Pakman later. Hell yes. I probably will as well. I dearly, dearly love David Pakman and should not be advertising him while I myself am live, but I'm gonna because he's that good. He is that good. I like Pakman. I'm going to be checking out the Majority Report, any coverage they do for sure. Basically, these are like candy for your old pal Jake. I will watch these people make asses of themselves over and over again. Let's listen to the coverage there on the ground.
What up? The war in Ukraine, no doubt. There was a lot of news about the war in Ukraine today.
The war in Ukraine. I also wonder, will there be a discussion about January 6th? And where do people stand on that? Or is it going to be something that Chris Christie brings up? Because that has been what he's been pounding on. I am curious. I imagine Democrats watching this will be curious to see what is said about that. And then abortion. Abortion is a really big issue that the Democratic Party had a press conference about today, and that's what they led with. I mean, that was reminding voters where they stand on abortion and trying to paint Republicans on that other side. And so that could be a question, too.
Sometimes debates have a raise the hand question by the moderators, where maybe they're all in agreement about something. We asked former Arkansas Governor Asa Hutchinson that because he has called on Trump to drop out of the race after these indictments. So we posed that question to him. Would he kind of call on his other candidates?
Digital producers, don't be too harsh on him.
Of raising the hand type of consensus question. Do you think that's going to happen?
It could. I could see the questioners asking that, and maybe everybody will be like,
Yeah, that's so true.
I don't know.
Okay. I'm also kind of curious as well when you're talking about former President Trump. He has said he's not going to even do any of the debates. Is this a foregone conclusion at this point in time that he's probably going to be the nominee, that this whole, I don't want to say charade, but this whole debate spectacle tonight, they're all vying for second place because Trump is far and away the front runner?
Right. Yes, Trump is far and away the front runner, but Iowa hasn't happened yet. And I was talking to a few people today who still feel that Ron DeSantis has a good chance in Iowa. He is second place. He's at double digits, right? 13,
in
15.
Iowa,
Yeah. So.
And the thing you have to remember about Iowa there, you honky, is they really, really, really don't like homosexuals. Oh, they hate them. They just hate them. So Ron DeSantis, he's looking good in Iowa. Yeah, surprising amount of Klan members in Iowa. So Ron DeSantis, he's got a good chance. This is normal politics.
Well, Shia Kapis, we really appreciate your insight, your reporting specifically. I just want to talk about Democrats really quickly, if we can. There was some news today from the DNC about whether or not Biden wants to participate in the general election debates. I thought that was really interesting. They're not committing to it. It is still early, but so we're talking about debates also on the Democratic side tonight.
Well, so they first, Jamie Harrison, was it Jamie? One of the Democratic Party leaders said that Biden would not be participating in primary debates, and they were quick to say that that's tradition, that, if the main nominee is in the White House, they don't have to debate. So that's, I guess, normal. However, asked whether during the general election he would debate, and that we were told that they haven't decided yet. So maybe they'll say they don't want to debate somebody who...
Yeah, I'll take that one. I don't blame them. Who knows what it's going to be when it comes down to the general? Now, if you're asking your old pal Jake his personal opinion, I think, yeah, you got to go out there and say your piece in front of the American people. Live, that's what you got to do. But, what is there to say against Donald Trump that hadn't already been said? I mean, it's worth repeating, I guess, but like, what if, for example, Trump wins the primary and he is in jail because he violated the whatever court order he is going to violate. I understand Biden not wanting to commit to the actual debates then, at least not now. As far as the primary thing goes, 100%. That is the most normal thing on earth. Why? It's the same reason the champ doesn't take matches with up and comers. You gotta if you've already got what do you gain by that? All you're risking is a lucky punch losing you the belt you already have. So I wish every single presidential election had a requirement for full, robust primaries, including debates the entire time. But if I'm honest with you, that's simply because I wish the Democratic Party was a different party, and I want to change it into something that it's not. It is a center-right party on the world stage. On the stage of the U.S., it is a center-left party, but very much center, and that is not me. I want there to be a genuine left-wing party. And the closest I can get to that, being a U.S. citizen, are the primaries. But if we're talking honestly about what they are, and we are accepting that politics is a ruthless business, it makes perfect sense that Biden is not engaging in the primary debates, and the response to whether he will engage in the proper debates, the general election debates. That makes sense given the context. It's a kind of question you wouldn't even have to ask in years past. It would be assumed, of course. Of course, that is what the president will do. But his primary opponent could be in a jail cell. And the logistics of it may simply be too much for whatever is gained. It may simply be too much. And again, Trump could. This is politics still. I insist. So, but Trump could utterly lose the love of Republicans next week. It's that fickle. I don't think that's going to happen, but it could happen. And that is, I think, part of the reason for that response. Boy, you gotta feel bad for that Jeep. Whoever was driving that, their worst moment of handling a Jeep has been showed on Fox about 1,000 times.
Much for being with us on the night of this first GOP debate that's getting ready to start here in the next 13 minutes or so, to be exact. Let's give you a couple live looks from Milwaukee that we have here. This first out of Pfizer Forum. You can see a live look outside of the arena there with the big Republican debate sign out front. It's
oof. Let's see what y'all have to say. Good evening, Elaine Sharp. Hello. And Domenico, Wicked Progressives Unite. Hell yes. Radical centrist. Fox interstitials are rich with chaos. Oh, it's true. Wireless mic. Oh, wait, let me jump up. Pinkerbell, it looks weak to not debate, especially in the general. Yes, I agree. Andrew Then says, true Pinkerbell unless he's behind bars. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It's not that I agree or even disagree with the actual choice to debate right now. It's that I think I agree with Biden's answer of saying, I'm not going to commit. I don't know. Maybe I will. But there's just too many factors that are not yet decided to commit to anything. Ooh, let's hear what these folks are saying.
The Republican presidential candidates getting ready to court voters at Milwaukee's Fiserv Forum tonight. Candidates will be lined up in order of recent polls, with Florida Governor Ron DeSantis near center stage. It's a key position as he aims to reignite a campaign that's been lagging in recent months.
I think it's a big moment for every single person on that stage. People can rise from the bottom to the top.
Some nonsense. Okay, so let's play a drinking game real quick. Or come up with the rules of our drinking game. If you see anybody unsure of where to put their hands, like that idiot, not that one, the blonde one, then you finish your drink.
His campaign's senior advisor, Chris LaCivita, released a statement saying Trump has already won the debate because he'll be the main topic of conversation, adding, quote, tonight's Republican undercard event really shouldn't even be called a debate, but rather an audition to be a part of President Trump's team in his second term. Some undecided voters don't see it that way.
It's pretty disappointing. Just because somebody has voted for you in the past doesn't mean you've earned their vote in the future.
The battleground state of Wisconsin will be a big deal to Republicans next year as well when it hosts the Republican National Convention.
Was that a little bit of self-respect in a Republican voter? God damn, get you some. Stella, get that groove back. Hell yeah.
For the first time at this very first GOP debate tonight in Milwaukee, you can also see that one of those was a question as of this afternoon. That was North Dakota Governor Doug Burgum. We have since learned that he will be participating despite suffering an Achilles injury. Earlier today, he went out and tweeted this message here, just short and simple, saying, "I'm in. I will be there." As you can see, crutches and a boot on him there. He also spoke with some of our crew members on the ground. Let's play out a little bit of what he had to say here.
Hi there. Well, we had a good walkthrough today, and RNC and Fox both been very accommodating, trying to see if we can get set up for tonight. And I've got a appointment coming up in a half an hour with one of the leading orthopedic sports surgeons here in Milwaukee that works with professional teams here, and we'll see where we go from there.
How are you feeling after the walkthrough?
Well,
I have great insurance, so I feel fantastic. I was able to get medical care, but I'm still going to be out there making sure that poor people can.
Well, I ended up with I played basketball my whole life and love the sport and have been on the court when other people have blown their Achilles, and just never thought it was going to ever happen to me, but got a high grade tear on my Achilles tendon last night, and that's and the recommendation for that would be off your feet for a week or more, but we're not going to let that get in the way of what we got going on today. So we'll see what happens when we come out of this appointment.
What are you hoping to accomplish tonight at the end of the night? What are you hoping to walk away with?
Banker Bell,
well I think the thing that we're on a mission to improve every American life, and if people can understand that we're here tonight to talk about issues that really matter to every American, the economy, inflation, Biden's inflation choking every American family, energy policy, adding to that inflation. The price, every time someone fills up with gas in this country, they ought to be looking at that number and going, that number could be a lot lower.
We're here to lie to you about every important issue we can think of. We don't want to talk about anything that we don't even have a good lie for. So we're going to talk to you about the issues we are prepared to lie about. Bill Clinton lip. Banker Bell, on eyebrows alone, he wins. Yeah, all right, fair enough. He's got those Eugene Levy eyebrows on lockdown. The anti-corporatists, actually, right now I'm parked waiting for... Okay. Brother's working tonight, good Lord. Good luck, man. Deborah Kempthorne. Hi, all. DeSantis declared that he's now advertising golf as the new reason to vacation in Florida. Oh. Because he ruined the old reason. Mars Falcon. DeSantis is a sunken turd. This is in quotes. DeSantis is a sunken turd, but there is hope he can become a floater, rising from the bottom to the top. Fox Zier Squad. Yeah, that's well put. Mars Falcon, the very best Republican, only wants to strip the poor of the little help they receive, cut taxes for the uber rich, and poison the environment. The very best Republican wants the bigotry quiet. Yes, that's it exactly. Oh, man. Good Lord. The anti-corporatist traffic was so bad it took me 3.5 hours to drive 103 miles on the interstate. No, thank you. Hard pass, but I'm glad someone's out there doing the work. My word. Thank you, sir.
Here, and then let's not get too close to it.
Oh, we got more from, I think.
Well, I'll
you
keep
Gentile
that
levy
relationship private, but I would just say we're fortunate to have some friends that help make that recommendation.
Unfunny Eugene Levy.
With someone who's seen a lot of Achilles tears and ruptures in their life, so we're confident we're seeing the very best, and someone who knows how to put athletes back on the field. And I've been an athlete my whole life, and so
bullshit. Okay. So I think we could all agree that a Republican has never actually had to experience an injury before, or at least anybody on stage has never actually had to experience an injury. I think if they were to get punched in the face, like square dead center in the face, he'd be like, "Oh my God, my nose has become a woman." He'd have no idea what was happening. These are not people who have had to endure a whole lot of hardship.
it was if you're going to go down, go down with one of the top programs in the country.
And Governor, how concerning was this potential setback on the debate night?
Well, of course, when it happens, you're like, oh, darn it. I mean, that's like thing. But, in my life, I don't worry about things I can't control. I focus on things that we can control. And, when you have a sports...
Like black people.
Focus on what can I do to, get back on the field, get back in the game. That's what we've been doing.
We got two more and we got to go. Governor, how much pain are you?
Well, I guess pain is relative, but I
got two more questions. Oh, how much does your owie hurt?
Emergency room thinks I have a high-grade tear as opposed to a total rupture. If I had a total rupture, it'd be a different story. But so far, so good. But I'm someone who's never taken prescription pain meds, and I'm not doing that today. Even though people said that'd be a good idea, because I'd rather.
I'm not muting it.
All right, so hearing from North Dakota Governor Doug Burgum there, speaking after his Achilles injury, we did learn that he is going to be participating in the debate.
Yeah. I would frankly like to, I think there should be a requirement. And Barrett, let me hold up my idiot card here so we don't actually think that I'm going to put resources into pursuing this. Here it is. So it's the insurance I got for my rollerblades as an adult. I think there should be a requirement that there be at least one debate where the participants huff down some laughing gas beforehand, some nitrous oxide, or get just stone drunk, because I want to see what's really under there. I want to see what they dare to say when a little bit intoxicated. Let me get a look at the real them. Let their hood down, that type of thing. Oh, hey, there's a known criminal.
Election.
And I'm feeling very, very good about it because I feel like I'm defending the rights of all Americans. The system of justice is politicized and criminalized for politics. Your rights are in jeopardy and your children's. Donald Trump told you this. They weren't just coming for him, but for me. Now they've indicted people, in this case, I don't even know who they are. They're just regular people making a normal living.
They're not just coming for me. They're coming for the people that do crimes with me. Everybody's saying it. Everybody knows it's true. They're not just coming for me. They're coming for my accomplices. And you, I guess. But the point is, nobody flip. Nobody flip on me. All right? Old Trumpy's going to be pulling the belt a little bit tight. A little bit tight. But that's okay, because they're really coming for both of us. They're coming for both of us. I'm working on the Donald Trump. It's not great.
Charged with 7 counts, and his bond was set for $100,000. Ray Smith, a lawyer for Trump's re-election campaign, faces 12 charges. He agreed to a $50,000 bond. Rudy Giuliani, a former personal attorney to the Trump and, of course, former New York City mayor, faces 13 charges. His bond has been set at $150,000. Scott Hall, a Georgia bail bondsman, faces 7 counts. He agreed to a $10,000 bond. Sidney Powell, a lawyer who is involved in planning Trump's efforts to contest the election, faces 7 charges. Her bond was set for $100,000. So these are the co-defendants who so far have turned themselves in. And of course, this is expected to be a major topic as well. That
I don't even mean on my desktop. I mean, I might make that my wallpaper in my living room. God damn, does that feel good to see. Oh, Lordy Lou, look at that. All right, let's listen to the digital anchor squirm.
County, she's bringing us an update on what we can expect ahead of the former president's arrival as he surrenders tomorrow.
I cannot wait
Ahead
for
of a
that.
Friday
Tinkerbell.
deadline, more of former President Donald
excited.
Trump's alleged co-conspirators are turning themselves into authorities. A busy day in Fulton County, Georgia on Wednesday as Rudy Giuliani and other Donald Trump allies negotiated bond and surrender in their election interference case. The former New York City mayor calls the case a, quote, political prosecution and says he's confident he'll be proven innocent.
I'm fighting for justice. I have been from the first moment. I represented Donald Trump, an innocent man who has now been proven innocent several times.
Mr. Trump plans to surrender on Thursday, and security at the jail will be tight. The sheriff's office says the building will be on a hard lockdown, and some public transportation will be.
I don't even know what the conspiracy is that he's hinting at.
On Wednesday, protesters began arriving outside the jail, some coming in from across the country to voice their support for the former president.
I'm one of millions that support him. A lot of people can't come today. I'll be here.
Fulton County District Attorney Fonnie Willis wants the trial to start as early as March. Legal experts say the proceedings will likely come with a high price tag.
The man hours, the police, court, district attorney's office. I think the marker the public can look at is something like the O.J. Simpson trial, which ran into the hundreds of thousands of dollars.
On Thursday morning, supporters of Trump say they plan to hold a rally outside the Fulton County Jail. In Atlanta, Rebecca Castor, Fox News.
All right, Rebecca, thanks. And giving you a live look here at the White House as
Wait a minute. I do note that they had the same protest. So they said protesters came out. That first one appeared to have an anti-Trump sign. The second one was the same lady giving an interview right over her shoulder. Was there not more than one for Trump? I haven't.
President Biden will be among those watching as GOP White House hopefuls duke it out, and his campaign appears to be playing into the RNC chairwoman's reported warning to Trump that his absence could give Biden cover to opt out of a face-off with the eventual Republican nominee, today declining to commit to general election debates.
We have not had a conversation about that at all. I'm sure one day we will, but it's not today, and I don't have any news on that.
Biden's campaign blanketing Milwaukee with billboards, even a plane, contrasting Biden's policies to what they call the extreme MAGA agenda, also running a $25 million ad campaign.
Wages are going up around here. What President Biden has accomplished is actually helping real people.
The DNC issuing a pre-buttal.
Tonight in prime time, Americans will have an opportunity to see in action the most extreme, the most divisive, the most chaotic slate of presidential candidates in history. And I don't know if it's going to be a debate, but more like a circus.
But damn it, beat me to it. Listen, they are going to arrive. There's going to be a lot of them, but they are going to arrive in one tiny car because it will be a clown show. That's what I would have said, but this guy beat me to it. Well done.
We have really no time to focus on what McCarthy says day by day.
Even as House Speaker Kevin McCarthy warns, an impeachment inquiry could begin as soon as next month.
If they provide us the documents, there wouldn't be a need for impeachment inquiry.
Today, the president stepped out for some shopping with Hunter Biden's son in tow. We've learned that Hunter did join in on the family vacation, but arrived separately on a commercial flight before the rest of the first family got here. In Lake Tahoe, California, Jackie Heinrich, Fox News.
All right, Jackie, thanks so much. Let's give you another live look here from Milwaukee as the debate is now underway.
We'll have an opportunity to see in action the most extreme,
I just explain what's happening. So she has 2 media channels queued up, and that wasn't the one she meant to hit. She's right now, I'll just explain to you what's happening. As the debate is starting, she's desperately scrambling to get the correct media stream in place. I'm going to put my faith in this young sister who's up there trying to, and I say sister because she's in the news. She's working for the bad guys, but she is in the news. I'm going to put my faith in her and let her try to get this stream on. In fact, what the hell? I'll race her. I'll look for a different version of the stream. But I'm gonna turn that on and look for a different version of the stream. I bet she's gonna beat me to it, but I'll play their audio so that whichever is first, we start hearing first.
Fox News.
All right, Jackie, thanks so much. Let's give you another live look here from Milwaukee as the debate is now underway. The first GOP debate live now from Fox. Unfortunately, can't carry that one live, though we do have reporters on the ground there, our whole Fox team there as well. We're going to continue to check in with them as this debate continues on to bring you all of this analysis as it's happening here. 8 candidates taking the stage there in Milwaukee, battleground state there in Wisconsin for the first GOP debate as everyone looks ahead to 2024. More of this coverage to continue. We'll be right back after this 2-minute break.
Okay, I'm getting it from C-SPAN, folks. Withdrawn my earlier challenge. Live GOP debate. C-SPAN, will they let us? No, I know it's being carried on Fox. Here at Domenico, here it comes, the Republican Fart Fest. Oh, well done, Rex Track. SCHIT show is more like it. Folks, if you know a place that is playing this debate, I suppose, other than Fox, drop it in the comments. I'll have a look. In the meantime, I'm just pulling up any live stream coverage that I can find. Live GOP debate. Shortly. We've got live updates. Live updates. We need video. Featuring no Donald Trump. Oh, damn it. And the I wonder where they're getting that. Oh, fuck. We got this going, huh? Well, tell you what. While I pull that up, let me advertise for the Majority Report and put up their stream. And if this is me stealing views from them, I can only apologize and not do that in the future. I'll have a backup stream in the future, though. But here's the Majority Report's coverage of it. If you're not already a fan, we recommend them on the reg on this show. Let's check it out. Here's the debate.
Be better on the
Never
economy
seen your face like that before.
Well, look, I do agree predominantly with what Governor DeSantis just laid out. And I think that if you asked every one of us up here,
go after Trump,
we would agree predominantly with what he just
Bro,
laid out.
Here's the difference.
Beach. The difference is that we're going to have to work and make sure that we sell these ideas and be able to put ourselves in a position where we get a majority of the vote, not only by winning the Congress and the Senate in 24, but also by having someone who's had the experience of doing it. Now, I was elected as a conservative Republican in a blue state with 61% of the vote, with a Democratic legislature against me the entire time.
If you flip that to 16, that's close to what his approval rating was when he left office.
Decision-making brought them around to our point of view. We cut taxes in New Jersey. We cut debt in New Jersey. We made sure that each and every time we were confronted with bad Democratic ideas, we stood and stopped them. And when there were good ideas, we brought people together to make progress going forward. truth and accountability are the things we need to do
By
to
the way,
fight
I'm
waste.
pulling up Truth
And I'll say
Social
the
just so we
last thing
can
is this, Brett.
make sure we have any
cannot
of Trump's
sit by
response.
any
good
longer
idea.
and allow the kind of spending that's going on in Washington, because every dollar they spend is a dollar that these people are not allowed to spend on their children and their grandchildren. It's robbing our country, and it's wrong.
Well, Governor, let me just follow up very quickly. New Jersey, when you were governor, had the second lowest credit rating in the nation after Illinois, and it was downgraded 11 times.
Yep. Yeah, and that's what happens when you inherit a blue state that has done that. But when you look at what we did on debt, Brett, in that state, we cut
New Jersey's
debt in that
credit
state,
rating?
debt that
I
had
don't
been
give
left
a
to
crap.
us by 3 Democratic gubernatorial predecessors of mine
You
who
should've
ran
raised
up that
taxes.
debt tremendously. And what you
He
also
did. He
saw us
slashed
do
them, and it was an
to cut
issue
the unemployment
with
rate
funding
in
the
half.
government.
It was over 10% when I became governor in 2010. What we also did was cut pension payments to public employees to make sure that taxpayers were not being soaked by a public employee union system that was killing the taxpayer.
Yes, it's unions.
Thank you, Governor.
Governor Scott, Tim Scott, Senator Scott, excuse me. The song also goes after welfare programs.
The whole.
As a senator, now President Biden argued for freezing federal spending, this was back in the 80s, and dealing with sacred cows. He does not talk about that anymore. You have been a senator, though, for 10 years. So what have you done to rein in the
We
increasing
just say
size
Fox
of
News
government?
interpreted that
Well, thank you
as
for the
an
question.
anti-welfare
Over the last several years, I've had an opportunity
Yeah.
to
I've seen
vote
that certain
against
leftists couldn't
spending
make that
package after
determination.
spending
Well,
package
it was-
after spending
it says
package.
welfare
what we
queens
also
in it.
need
It's
to
pretty clear.
understand is that Joe Biden's Bidenomics has led to the loss of $10,000 of spending power for the average family. When you see 16% inflation, your gas is up 40%, your food is up 20%, your electricity is up 20%. We can stop that by turning the spigot off at Washington.
Their understanding of everyday
sending the
people's
money
lives
back
is
to
just
the
mediated through
states
these
and
sorts of
allowing the
statistics.
decisions
I
to be
hope that
made
the
at
next
their own
Democratic debate
houses.
is structured around
I
I'm
helped
a
write
Barbie
the Tax
girl.
Cuts and Jobs Act
And what
in
those lyrics mean.
2017. We cut taxes.
point. I didn't
for
quite
single
follow
mom,
you
like
at
the one
first,
that raised
but
me by
that's
70%.
like,
for dual
what's the right
households by
answer to that?
60%, returning to the average family $4,000.
That's you saying that my joke was
if you
bad.
don't send it to Washington, we can't spend it. That's good news for the American people.
Okay, but just to follow up, you did, during the Trump administration, you approved 4.4 trillion, 4.1 trillion, 1.7 trillion over the course of that administration. That's a lot of
This
money.
is so boring.
There's no doubt that during the Trump administration, when we were dealing with the COVID virus, we spent more money. But here's what happened at the end of our time in the majority. We had low unemployment, record low unemployment, 3.5% for the majority of the population, 70-year low for women, African Americans, Hispanics, and Asians.
Sounds
had
woke.
low,
You're doing woke
all-time
stuff.
low. But our inflation was at 2%. Under Joe Biden, we've seen the exact opposite. We've seen inflation explode, which led to 12
Yeah, because the economy
Federal
recovered
Reserve
after
increases
a
that's
massive downturn.
devastating home buyers today.
People jacked up
Mr.
prices.
Ramaswamy, you're listening to these answers.
If I may,
Now, hold
that
on one
was our
second. We're going
administration,
to.
so I don't know if I get a chance to respond.
He didn't mention you specifically, but
Oh,
we'll
you're
give you
here.
a second, Mr. Vice President. Mr. Ramaswamy, listening to all of this, why should voters choose you over more experienced politicians on this stage? You're basically, a blank slate for people. You're 38 years old. You've said that you only voted in 2 presidential elections before this moment, this political race.
Good
So
Lord.
first, let me just address a question that is on everybody's mind at home tonight. Who
What?
the heck is this skinny guy with a funny last name, and what the heck is he doing in the middle of this debate stage?
Bro, you asked a
I'll tell you,
question.
I'm not a politician, Brett. You're right about that. I'm an entrepreneur. My parents came to this country with no money 40 years ago. I have gone on to found multi-billion-dollar companies. I did it while marrying my wife, Apurva, raising our 2 sons, following our faith in.
Oh, damn. Well, we've got it. Let's get this thing going properly. Vivek Ramaswamy is giving the breakdown of who he is, and it is exactly what we were talking about. He is an entrepreneur who is Great. He's an entrepreneur who is responsible for starting a bunch of businesses. He's had nothing to do with politics. I'm going to go back to the Majority Report while I figure out what the hell that is. Boom, boom. There it is. Good job, MR. Sorry, y'all, for the interruption. Returning Majority Report, we're going to have our own stream in a moment, but I don't want to waste your time while I do technical
over the
stuff.
weekend, the man, his name is Dwayne Dabrowski, was in the forest, which is about 110 miles north of the capital city. Colombian civil defense authorities reported the rescue, releasing images of the man getting help from paramedics while he was lying on a stretcher. Very scary situation there. It is unclear, though.
Hey, all right.
Debt, and our kids are never going to forgive us.
Oh, she's
for this.
still doing
and
the
so
hand
at the
thing.
end of the day, you look at the 2024 budget. Republicans asked for $7.
Oh yeah, we can't just shut up because that's the whole point of us being here. And how we get around like copyright strikes is by making this a commentary experience. So, folks, if you are in the chat wanting a clean experience, I recommend going to foxnews.com and hitting the live TV button.
Well
and
said.
Getting the fuck out of here.
For that increase. But as vice president, your administration spent
I
more
thought
than
that was a helpful
$7.8 trillion
like
added to the
volume
national
suggestion,
debt,
but
$3.5 trillion.
That is what I'm attempting to do, and I appreciate it. But I like their commentary, and they're doing commentary. Well, I don't have to, so I can do just that.
Reference to our administration.
Yeah, actually, he's playing like John Adams in
I know.
The Trump-Pence administration.
But with a Bush voice.
I mean, in 4 short years, we rebuilt our military. We revived our economy. We unleashed American energy. And we appointed 3 conservatives to the Supreme Court that gave the American people a new beginning.
And God, if I could have overturned that election, I would have.
Right.
Martha, you asked earlier.
If you hadn't done the Supreme Court, I probably would have thought about it.
Prepared for this job. And I must say, with all due respect to all of my friends on the stage, and even to one that's probably looking on, I think unquestionably I am the best prepared, the most tested, the most qualified and proven conservative in this race.
And that's why I'm pulling at 2%.
Yeah, whatever that means.
I led Indiana where we balanced budgets and had a AAA bond rating when I was governor.
Oh, exciting.
And as vice president of the United States, we spent funding to
Who cares?
Yeah, I'm gonna
the
borrow against
military
some
cuts of the
corn.
Obama administration, and then we were there in the worst pandemic in 100 years. All that being said, I was the first person in this race to say that we've got to deal with the long-term national debt issues. You got people on this stage that won't even talk about issues like Social Security and Medicare. Vivek, you recently said
Christy
a
did.
president can't do everything. Well, I got news for
Say
you,
it.
Vivek. I've been in the hallway. I've been in the West
What
Wing.
will you
The
do? Will you
President
cut
of the
it?
United States has to confront every crisis facing
Say what it is.
America. I will put our nation back on the path to growth and prosperity.
Say what it
and
is.
Restore fiscal responsibility.
Okay,
Just as
so
I
you're
did
gonna
in Congress.
you're gonna
as
cut
governor,
Social
since I
Security and
was
Medicare,
vice president.
dumbass.
But yeah,
You were named earlier. I'm gonna
The
give
Heritage
Vivek
Foundation's
first.
thrilled.
Yeah, this isn't that complicated, guys. Unlock American energy, drill, frack, burn coal, embrace nuclear. Put people back to work.
Burn the
by
planet.
Paying them more to stay at home. Reform the U.S. Fed. Stabilize the U.S.
I'm
dollar.
curious to see how
and go to war. The only war
they
that I will
react to
declare as U.S.
Ramaswamy
president will be the
amped up
war on the
Vivek
federal
here.
administrative state.
Yeah,
that
he's
is the source
he's
of
being
those toxic
petulant.
regulations.
He's being shot out. It's like he's shot out of the
Acting like a wet blanket
cannon.
on the
Yeah.
economy.
I think it's a little
I'm
bit
not
too
sure I
much
exactly
energy.
Shout out
understood
of
Mike Pence's
his
comment,
boarding
but
schools
I'll let you all
cannon.
parse that out.
That's-
For me,
that's
it's pretty
the energy.
simple. That's something a U.S. president can do with focus, and I'll deliver on
Well,
it.
let me explain it to you. Let me explain it to
Get
you,
his ass
Vivek,
Pence.
if I can. I'll go slower this time.
I sometimes struggle with the reading
Look,
comprehension.
I was a House conservative leader before it was cool. I actually pushed a Deficit Reduction Act. That was the last
He's
time we
trying
actually
so hard.
reduced the national debt in the United States when I was the leader of House conservatives. I balanced budgets and cut taxes when I was governor. I mean, look, Joe
Yawn.
Yeah, you
Biden
were in the
has
swamp,
weakened
buddy.
this country at home and abroad. Now is not the time for on-the-job training. We don't need to bring in a rookie. We don't need to bring in people without experience.
I didn't see this coming.
I like this, yeah.
Still no Trump mentioned, by the way.
It's 30 seconds when you have a
Let's jump ahead to Ron DeSantis freaking out.
Never let
the deep
There he
state
is.
bureaucrats lock you down.
And let's laugh
You
at him.
don't take somebody like Fauci and coddle him. You bring Fauci in, you sit him down, and you say, Anthony, you are fired.
Because he dared.
You know what? We're going to bring in.
He dared to try
I just want to respond to
to
Mike for
help.
1 second because he invoked me back. Listen, now that everybody's gotten their memorized, pre-prepared slogans out of the way, we can actually have a real discussion now. The reality and the fact of the matter is...
Was that one of yours?
Not really, actually. We're just going to have some fun tonight. And the reality is, you have a bunch of people, professional politicians, super PAC puppets, following slogans handed over to them by their 400-page super PACs last week. The real choice we face in this primary is this. Do you want a super PAC puppet, or do you want a patriot who speaks the truth? Do you want incremental reform, which is what you're hearing about, or do you want revolution?
Okay.
And I stand on the side of the American Revolution.
We're going to take control back here.
We need everyone to have a moment on the economy.
Yeah.
I think that's fair.
Can I address the
There are
COVID
two
issue
people
that
who
the
have
governor
not.
brought up?
We're going to get
No.
back to that. We are. There are two people who we have not
Just
heard from
no.
yet. So let's hear from Governor Burgum and then from Governor Hutchinson on the economy, sir.
Well, great. Thank you, Martha. And of course, I'm from a town of 300 people. It's a big deal to make it on this stage with all these folks. But
he can afford the scam that got him there. Let's not forget that.
They were all wishing me well, and I think I took them a little too literally when they said, go to Milwaukee and break a leg.
Break a leg.
But I do want to say on this, we're missing something. We can't just talk about the Biden economy because the economy, energy, and national security are all tied together. Of course, we're paying too much for our energy in our state, in our country right now. But part of the reason why is because of the Biden policies on energy. We've got a plan right now, the $1.2 trillion of Green New Deal spending buried in the Inflation Creation Act is something that is just subsidizing China. If we're going to stop buying oil from the Middle East and start buying batteries from China, we're just trading OPEC for Sinopec. And then belatedly, the Biden administration says, no, we're going to put sanctions on Russian oil. Well, we put sanctions on Russian oil, well, then it's 20% off. Who's buying it? China. So if you buy a battery in this country...
So this guy is just using the standard Republican playbook. You know it by now. Anytime they don't want to do something, they find a group to blame it on. And he's chosen China. That's the most mundane and acceptable group.
Thank you, Grant. Delighted
The
to be
Chinese.
here tonight. And let me just tell you that I'm a pro-life governor from a conservative state that have a conservative record in which I lowered taxes in Arkansas as governor. I created a $2 billion surplus that I passed over to my successor, and I made sure that we shrunk the size of government. We have 14% fewer state employees in Arkansas after I left government than when I took over as governor 8 years ago. I tell that because that's what we need in Washington, D.C. We need somebody who can actually constrain the growth of the federal government, that can actually reduce the size, and I've pledged to reduce by 10% our federal non-defense workforce. That's a specific pledge to make that attacks the administrative state. And let me applaud some of the business partners that are here that have had success.
That's okay. So, yeah, standard Republican stuff. What he's just said. I'm an old-fashioned Republican. I am going to make the government work worse while I take your money and the fruits of your labor and I give it to people who already have way more than they need. They actually already have. In fact, yeah, I'm dubbing him over word for word now. I'm going to, with my tiny hands, yank your dollars away and give it to people who have stolen collectively from society.
Are still unaccounted for in Maui. After the deadliest U.S. wildfire in more than a century, Hawaii's governor and White House officials said that climate change amplified the cost of human error.
And a tropical storm hit California for the first time in 84 years. The ocean hit 101 degrees off the coast of Florida. And in the last month, the heat wave in the Southwest broke records nearly 50 years old.
So Alexander Diaz from Young America's Foundation has a question for you all.
Polls consistently show that young people's #1 issue is climate change. How will you, as both President of the United States and leader of the Republican Party, calm their fears that the Republican Party doesn't care about climate change?
So we want to start on this with a show of hands. Do you believe in human behavior is causing climate change? Raise your hand if you do.
Look, we're not school children. Let's have the debate. I mean, I'm happy to take it to start. Alexander?
So do you want to raise your hand or not?
I don't think that's the way to do. So let me just say to Alexander this.
Can't even
First
do
of all,
that.
one of the reasons our country's decline is because of the way the corporate media treats Republicans versus Democrats. Biden was on the beach while those people were suffering. He was asked about it. He said no comment. Are you kidding me? As somebody that's handled disasters in Florida, you got to be activated. You've got to be there. You've got to be present. You've got to be helping people who are doing this. And here's the deal.
Let's just answer the question.
So is that a yes? Or is that a yes? Is that a hand raise?
You do not.
I think it was a hand raise for him, and it's my hands are in my pockets.
No,
because
no,
the
I
climate
didn't
change
raise it.
agenda
I
is
didn't
a
raise it.
hoax. Let's be honest as Republicans.
Too
I'm the only
cowardly.
person on the stage who isn't bought and paid for, so I can say this. The climate change agenda is a hoax.
That's just ridiculous.
The climate change agenda is a hoax, and we have to declare independence for it. And the reality is, the anti-carbon agenda is the wet blanket on our economy. And so the reality is, more people are dying of bad climate change policies than they are of actual climate change.
Governor Haley, are you bought and paid for?
Can we all agree that this guy cannot be president?
Wait, hold on.
Right there.
Enough.
Oh, good.
Already
Let's see what
tonight
happens.
Of a guy who sounds like ChatGPT standing up here. And the last person in one of these debates, Brett, who stood in the middle of the stage and said, "What's a skinny guy with an odd last name doing up here?" was Barack Obama, and I'm afraid we're dealing with the same type of amateur standing on stage tonight.
Come over and give me a hug. Give me a hug just like you did to Obama.
The same type of amateur.
And you'll help elect me just like you did to Obama, too. Give me that
The
bear
same
hug, brother.
type of amateur.
Hold on. Governor Haley, would you like to respond? Are you bought and paid for?
What I would like to say is the fact that I think this is exactly why Margaret Thatcher said, if you want something said, ask a man. If you want something done, ask a woman. First of all, we do care about clean air, clean water. We want to see that taken care of, but there's a right way to do it. And the right way to do it is, first of all, yes, is climate change real? Yes, it is. But if you want to go and really change the environment, then we need to start telling China and India that they have to lower their emissions. That's where our problem is. And these green subsidies that Biden has put in, all he's done is help China, because he doesn't understand all these electric vehicles that he's done, what that does. Half of the batteries for electric vehicles are made in China. And so
what about the other half, though? Are they not polluting as well? We can't be the leaders in the world. The important thing is that we always follow the lead of bigger, stronger countries, like China. Oh, thank God, Tim Scott, save us.
Is a debate about the issues that affect their lives. Going back and forth, being childish, is not helpful to the American people to decide on the next leader of our country. Number one, wait a second. Number two,
fair enough.
As a kid who grew up in a single-parent household mired in poverty, I wondered, was the American dream real for kids who were devastated by poverty, devastated by the challenges of life? I came to the conclusion that America can do for anyone what she's done for me if we focus on restoring hope, creating opportunities, and protecting America. If we want the environment to be better, and we all do, the best thing to do is to bring our jobs home from China. If we create 10 million new jobs in my Made in America plan, we will have a better economy and a better environment. Let me tell you why I say that, Brett.
All right, he's earned that much.
America has cut. I'm a Southern boy, I talk slow. So America
Come on.
America has cut our carbon footprint in half in the last 25 years. The places where they are continuing to increase, Africa, 950 million people. India, over 1 billion. China, over 1 billion. Why would we put ourselves at a disadvantage?
Okay, so the same answer.
Devastating our own economy.
Let's read some comments, because y'all, I'm having fun with that. That's just for fun. That sounds like we're going to build a wall and then make them pay for it. These people are dumb. Agreed. Mars Falcon, then make them here, dip. Yes, exactly. Right-wing retcon. Wasn't the U.S. the sole producers of batteries at one time? I actually don't know. Possibly. But we were crushing it for a while. Ooh, what's this? Let me have a listen.
If you cannot do that, you should not be the nominee for the Republican Party. This is a defining moment.
Well, that much is true. All right.
Boy, if that's not an appetizer.
We'll go back to that in a moment. I want to keep reading your comments. Anti-corporatists, that describes Trump too. Mars Falcon, it describes all of them, the anti-corporatists. These folks are grotesque. Tens of millions buy this shit. Burnt the frack out, man. I understand it. If there's any piece of good news here, none of them seem to have a unique approach. None of them do. Nobody is going to listen to this and be like, I'm suddenly a huge blank fan. I'm sure people are going to say they are, but that's because they're looking for a way to exit saying that they are a Trump fan. They still want to look like they care about politics, but they don't, want to ride to hell in the passenger seat with Trump. So, and they want to meet their grandkids. They're sick of being banned from family gatherings because of their horrible politics. So, we're probably going to have people saying, oh, now I love Vivek. Now I love Christie. Yada, 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 yada. But none of these folks are really attacking this in a unique way. They're not offering a unique perspective. They're all just doing classic Republican stuff. They're presented with a problem. They either deny that the problem exists or say that it's somebody else that has to deal with it first. They're pitching greed as policy to the American people. Not even a specific policy. They're just sort of saying the excuses I'll use for doing nothing are that other people should be doing it first. And that we, in the short term, in the extraordinarily short term, we benefit more from doing nothing. That's all they're saying. That's all I've heard up here. About a dozen or so different issues to go, and they'll all give the same answer. We're going to do nothing, and we're going to pretend like that's a good thing. All of them will be offering a different pitch for that, because anything that they actually plan to do will be incredibly destructive. The closest they have to a real policy, for example, as part of their agenda, is to give tax breaks to rich people. That's really fallen out of favor with the American people. What else? To cut Social Security. They want to take the checks you've earned that are supposed to be coming to you. They want to take those away from you. For some Americans, they want to screw with you a little bit and say, no, we're not taking away your Social Security. We're just delaying it for a few years. But if you had Social Security coming up in a decade or in 2 decades, and they want to push it back by 5 years, well, that's 5 years worth of money that you're not getting that as of now is owed to you. And if they are elected, they will say will no longer be owed to you. So they can't really be honest about their policies. And none of them have said anything electrifying. What did Trump say that was electrying? Well, he said all these punks are taking bribes, and I don't have to because I'm the guy that does the bribing. Except he was lying.
More swing state referendums that are coming up as we head into the elections as well on this. So, Governor Haley, what do you say to your party and to your state, which today confirmed a 6-week abortion law as well, especially the impact on women suburban voters across this country?
Thank you, Martha. I am unapologetically pro-life, not because the Republican Party tells me to be, but because my husband was adopted and I had trouble having both of my children. So I'm surrounded by blessings.
But she is absolutely told by the Republican Party that she must be.
Something this personal, because it's personal for every woman and man. Now it's been put in the hands of the people. That's great. When it comes to a federal ban, let's be honest with the American people and say it will take 60 Senate votes. It will take a majority of the House. So in order to do that, let's find consensus. Can't we all agree that we should ban late-term abortion, that we should encourage adoptions? Can't we all agree that doctors and nurses who don't believe in abortion shouldn't have to perform them?
No, but what we can all agree on is that it takes 60 votes to get serious things done. So what is our goal for the House of Representatives, do you reckon? Not House of Representatives, Jesus Christ. For what is our goal for the Congress is what I meant to say. We need those 60 seats. Let's get them in the Senate.
You signed a 6-week abortion ban in Florida. One of your biggest financial backers said that you need to, quote, shift to get moderates or you will lose. What do you say to him and others who say politically that is a tough thing to sell nationally?
Well, I would say we sold the biggest election landslide victory in the history of the Republican Party in the state of Florida in 2022. That's what I did. We can win. But second of all, look, you got to do what you think is right. I believe in a culture of life. I was proud to sign.
Who said that? Oh, God. Pinkerbell. They don't want you, Walnut. He does kind of look.
On this issue is wrong to allow abortion all the way up to the moment of birth. I know a lady in Florida named Penny. She survived multiple abortion attempts. She was left discarded in a pan. Fortunately, her grandmother saved her and brought her to a different hospital. We're better than what the Democrats are selling. We are not going to allow abortion all the way up till birth, and we will hold them.
You're literally not better than people that we won't even let be in the Democrats. We won't let Anthony Weiner hang out with us anymore because he's too damn gross with his sending pictures. Hey, we don't need to. He's an idiot. We already know what that one's going to say. No Republican politician is better than anything that the lowest Democrat has said or done.
I'm not new to this cause. After I gave my life to Jesus Christ as my Lord and Savior, I opened up the book and I read, "Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. And see, I set before you life and death, blessings and curses. Now choose life." And I knew from that moment on the cause of life had to be my cause. And I've been a champion for life in the Congress, a champion for life as governor and as vice president. And to be honest with you, Nikki, you're my friend, but consensus is the opposite of leadership. When the Supreme Court returned this question to the American people, they didn't just send it to the states only.
Oh, no.
It's not a states-only issue. It's a moral
I see evil version of Biden and Harris
champion for life in the Oval Office. Can't we have a minimum standard in every state in the nation that says when a baby is capable of feeling pain, an abortion cannot be allowed? A 15-week ban is an idea whose time has come. It's supported by 70% of the American people, but it's going to take.
It very much isn't, and the reason why is a lot of people do not know they are pregnant yet. Case in point, the 13-year-old that just gave birth.
I want to respond to that. 30 seconds. So first of all, I will say it is in the hands of the people, and that's where it should be. But when you're talking about a federal ban, be honest with the American people. We haven't had 45 pro-life senators in over 100 years. So no Republican president can ban abortions any more than a Democrat president could ban all those state laws. Don't make women feel like they have to decide on this issue when you know we don't have 60 Senate votes in the House.
70% of the American people support legislation
but
to ban
70%
abortion
of the
after a
Senate
baby is
does
capable
not.
of experiencing pain.
That is a fair point. In terms of strategy, that's a fair point.
Does not. You have
But
to
we
be
should
honest
take
with the
note.
American
have a
people.
15-week limit.
Let's get Governor Bergman
Get the
for
60
one
votes
minute
if
here.
we want it done federally.
So
But the Supreme Court did overturn Roe v. Wade. And the result of that decision was that it went back to the states. So that's where it is right now. So as I understand it, you are not in favor of a federal ban. What do you say about the states? There's about 5 of them, including New Jersey, I think a few others, that allow abortion up until the time of birth, though. If you were president, would you be able to abide that?
Well, first of all, I'm a pro-life governor of a very pro-life state. And this issue is, of course, very important. But I am on the record, and I stand behind that we should not have a federal abortion ban. We should not. And the reason why we shouldn't is very simple. It's the 10th Amendment in the Constitution. In the Constitution, which the states created the federal government, not the other way around, it says that there were certain duties allowed to the federal government delegated to them by the states. The rest are left to the states, comma, or importantly, or to the people. We need to get back to freedom and liberty for the people in this country. And we can't have Republicans who fight for 50 years for this great cause to return it back to the states, and then the next day they turn around and go, no, the feds should do that, because the feds are stepping into people's lives, they're stepping into people's businesses over and over. If we say that the feds should be in on this one, where do we stop? I say that we follow the Constitution, and this is returned to the states. This is where it should be.
But Governor Burgum, you signed a 6-week ban. Time out. You signed a
The applause mean that this issue will be dropped most likely for the remainder.
Yes, and what is going to work in New York will never work in North Dakota, and vice versa. That's
Governor
why 50
Asa
states.
Hutchinson,
That's why
right
50 states.
This is too important of an issue that I have to address. First of all, the Supreme Court gave it back to the elected representatives, whether it's the states or whether it's the United States Congress. So there is authority, and that's why President Biden is pushing for a Democrat proposal, which is, in essence, abortion on demand through the term. So they have their extreme position at a national level. It's most likely going to be addressed in the states, but it's certainly fine for it to be addressed at the national level as well.
He's not wrong. Let me just add, imagine any other medical procedure being discussed like it's a bad thing like that. This person's saying knee surgery on demand. He wants people to just be able to willy-nilly go out and get their knees repaired. We can't have that.
We get this right. It's going to be a continued debate. Let's talk about it in terms of compassion, in terms of protecting the life, and also understanding how we have to enhance adoption services, how we have to enhance maternal care. Those things we've done in Arkansas and are important for our nation's future.
There are a lot of issues that are very important. Senator, I'll let you weigh in.
We cannot let states like California, New York, and Illinois have abortions on demand up until the day of birth. That is immoral. It is unethical. It is wrong. We must have a president of the United States who will advocate and fight for, at the minimum, a 15-week limit. I am 100% pro-life conservative. I have 100% pro-life record. I got to tell you, though.
All right, let's be clear. The two kinds of applause we heard. There was people that want to say they are firmly for abortion going, and there's people that are sick to death of hearing these people talk about taking away their right to sneak their daughter off in the month after prom to go get something taken care of, to go do a procedure they'll never talk about ever again. This is killing all of their candidacies, any hope they have in the general, the topic of abortion. And the wild applause we heard, I know they're giving responses, blah, 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 but the wild applause we heard is important. That means they all get a pass now. And only Democrats will bring up abortion, I suspect, going forward.
Are still rising, actually.
Murders in Los Angeles, New York, Chicago, all up 30% between 2019 and 2022. Homelessness is up 11%, the largest jump in recorded history. Vice President Pence, a lot of this began in the COVID era. How much of what we're seeing happening around this country is a result of those COVID lockdowns? And is your administration in part to blame for how we got here?
Well, I think what's in part to blame is the Democrats been talking about defunding the police for the last 5 years. And we ought to be funding law enforcement, particularly in our major cities, at unprecedented levels. I mean,
that should have been an applause line for Pence, but he is so disliked that he couldn't even get an applause line for ragging on Democrats about the police.
To work out their fanciful agendas, to do bail reform and go easy. What we need is strong commitment to law enforcement. We need leadership in Washington, D.C. that'll marshal the resources of the states, marshal the resources of the American people. But let me also say it's about opportunity. I mean, a lot of people don't know that those Trump-Pence tax cuts that we got signed into law go away at the end of 2025 if we don't have a Republican president and a Republican House and a Republican Senate. When I'm president of the United States,
we want them to. We want those tax cuts to go away. A lot of people don't understand. The friends that I have given a bribe to, the people who are already millionaires, it will be harder for them to become multi-millionaires if we don't keep those tax cuts going. Their millions will go to funding awful things like schools, but not for the whites.
Democrats blame this crisis on easy access to guns. They also blame Republicans for blocking gun control legislation. What would President Christie do?
You know, I'm proud of the fact, Brett, that I'm the only person, along with Governor Hutchinson, up on this stage who's actually running a United States Attorney's Office. I ran the 5th largest office in America in a state where there is significant urban crime. And the problem is not going to be solved by more money. The problem is that these prosecutors in these localities in the states are refusing to do their job and to arrest violent criminals. So what a President Christie would do is appoint an attorney general who would instruct each of the 93 U.S. attorneys that they are to take over the prosecution of violent crime in every one of those cities that are failing to do so. We have plenty of room in the federal prisons.
Yeah, he's trying to put urban people in federal prison. That's his plan, in other words. Let me start with the only piece of sympathy that miserable bastard's going to get from me tonight. He does not have people around him to tell him that that tie is a mistake and should not only not be worn tonight, but should be baptized and then given to Jesus. That is a tie no human being should wear. Second, that's peak Christie. I'm sure he's going on and on about reasonable sounding things. What did he just say? His plan for crime? Toss urban people in federal prison.
We actually have the spine to do it. More cops in the streets who are on the streets able to do their jobs without looking over their shoulder for getting sued. And we also have a mental health epidemic in this country. Just over the same period that we have closed mental health institutions, we have seen a spike in violent crime. Do we have the spine to bring them back? I think we should. As president, I will. But it's not just drugging up people in those psychiatric institutions with Zoloft and Seroquel.
Withdrawn.
It's a deeper issue. I think faith-based approaches can play a role here, too. We're in the middle of a national identity crisis. And I say this as a member of my generation. The problem in our country right now, the reason we have that mental health epidemic, is that people are so hungry for purpose and meaning at a time when family, faith, patriotism, hard work have all disappeared.
Getting very generic. Young Buck, you're here to talk politics, so what's your policy pitch?
Stand for the rule of law. Yes, we will close the southern border where criminals are coming in every day. And yes, we will back law enforcement because we remember who we really are. And that's also how we address that mental health epidemic in the next generation that is directly leading to violent crime across this country.
DeSantis, really quick.
So his answer is more border security.
We're not looking for a new national identity. The American people are the most faith-filled, freedom-loving, idealistic, hardworking
Getting
people
close
the
to
world
saying
has
it
ever known.
literally
We just
there,
need
Pence.
government
Watch
as good as
out.
our people.
Well, Mike, I think the difference is you might have some others like you may have on the stage. It's Morning in America speech. It is not Morning in America. We live in a dark moment, and we have to confront the fact that we're in an internal sort of cold cultural civil
You
war,
are
and we have to
equating the
recognize
American
that
people with the
failed
failed government in Washington, D.C. We just need government as good as our people again.
So let me just finish addressing that slogan because I don't know what that slogan means. We need to shut down the administrative state. That's actually how we translate it.
Crime has been on the rise in Florida, Governor DeSantis. How do you stop crime?
Well, actually, crime's at a 50-year low in Florida.
Not in Miami.
We're happy with that. Well, the statewide, it's a 50-year low. And so here's the thing. These hollowed out cities, this is a symptom of America's decline. And one of the biggest reasons is because you have George Soros funding these radical left-wing district attorneys. They get into office and they say they're not going to prosecute crimes they disagree with. The inmates start running the asylum. There's one guy in this entire country that's ever done anything about that.
God, I hope.
When we had two of these district
I hope
attorneys
Brett
in
Baer
Florida
actually
with Soros
follows up
funding
on
who
this.
said they wouldn't do their job, I removed them from their posts. They are gone.
Authoritarian bastard.
And as president, we are going to go after all of these people because they are hurting the quality of life and they are victimizing innocent people in every corner.
So we agree that he cannot be president. The hilarity of the country doesn't need a new look. And no, it's a dark time in America was something.
People understand each other. If a farmer gets sick, everybody comes together and helps him get the crop off. There's accountability. There's transparency. One thing that I think this country could use is somebody in the White House that understands small town values, because that's our road back to get this country on track again.
Governor Hutchinson.
So who's he suggesting? Not him, I imagine.
As former head of the DEA,
he's got private island
the
values.
drug crisis in America. And right now, whenever you look at the challenges in our inner city, there's three simple words that would be helpful. One, enforce the law when it comes to crime. Secondly, let's deal with the challenge of fentanyl. And it's both about stopping the fentanyl coming from Mexico, but it's also about education of our young people, making sure that we have the tools that are needed for addiction counseling. That's what we expanded in Arkansas as well. Whenever you look at the underlying challenge of America, though, no one likes to see an America with smash and grab in our inner cities. As President of the United States, that will stop. It starts at the top with the respect for our justice system that a former president who's under indictment has undermined by attacking judges, by attacking prosecutors, by attacking the system and saying he's aggrieved. And so we have to have respect for our justice system and the rule of law, and it starts at the top with the President of the United States.
Brett, thank you. Hold on.
Take a break.
Off
So,
his
speaking
feet
of that, right now you are
out of the
looking
ring,
live
and Trump
at
didn't even know he
Fulton
was
County
fighting
Jail,
tonight.
where
Damn.
former President Donald Trump will be processed tomorrow. So next, the candidates will have an opportunity to talk about the coming trials of Donald Trump.
God damn. Oh, I'm excited for that. So yeah, let's break down what we saw. Nobody has a plan for actually dealing with these matters in a practical way. Painful stupidity with a screen name that's just tempting me, but I won't take it. He says, we got some seriously out of touch people in here. Hive mind. No, we look at the facts together, and we try our damnedest to listen to each other, listen to criticisms that everybody's giving. Let me tell you this, brother. Come by on Friday. Truth be told, if you want to see what people that disagree with you say about these things, I think you're right now having a valuable experience. Even if you don't agree with us, and when I say us, I mean the majority of the folks in the audience. We're watching this kind of on a lark and kind of to get a feel for what we're going to be dealing with when it comes to the, in my opinion, nonsense party. But what you're doing right now is valuable. You are getting a sense of what the other side thinks about things. I try to do that with y'all from time to time, although I acknowledge that I am a guest and I try not to rabble-rouse when I'm in the crowd. But yeah, I mean, say your piece. It's fine. But I would nonetheless encourage you to come by on Fridays. Why on Fridays? Because at 9 p.m. Eastern Time on Fridays, we usually do a show called Friday Peace Talks. And that is where you or me or anybody else can come with a clip that they want everybody to watch, a news clip, a media piece. And we watch it, and then we talk about it. We give our honest back and forth about it. So come by on Friday, have something ready, educate us. If we're wrong, we want to know it. And if it turns out that painful stupidity is right, then hell, I'll acknowledge it. Painful stupidity. Just tell me if you like Biden so I know if I should keep listening. That's a tough question to answer, man. Let me say this. Before I give the specifics of my answer, let me be clear. Based on your candor, I promise we have opposite political opinions. Whatever you think ought to be done is probably the opposite of what I think ought to be done. The honest answer, do I like Biden? No. I actively tried to get to make sure Biden was not elected in 2020. I tried very hard in the primaries to get Bernie elected. However, I will say I'm pleasantly surprised with how Biden has performed. He is a center-right politician who has pursued a strategy of working with Republicans that frustrates me a great deal. However, he has actually signed some legislation, and that's been of value, including everything to do with funding the U.S. recovery after COVID. Even though COVID never really ended, we just had a vaccine which allowed us to plow forward if we were wise enough to take it. And also the price gouging that resulted from both COVID and the Russian invasion of Ukraine. So the fact that he's navigated those waters competently was a pleasant surprise to me. But the short answer is no, I don't like Biden. And the slightly longer answer is I don't like Biden, but I'm a big fan of Dark Brandon. Oh, Leon Russo, good to see you. The anti-corporatist, what was that? I just refreshed. Damn it. There we go. Anti-corporatist. If you're a Putin simp and want to object to Ukraine, feel free. But don't complain about the cost of Ukraine. That's just showing your reference to the Scream name. Yeah, what he's referring to there is the fact that on the in the, as Bo would call it, international poker game where everyone's cheating, Ukraine is the best bang for our buck as far as effing with Russia goes. All right, we're back.
On China, Ukraine, immigration, education. But we are going to take a brief moment and talk about the elephant not in the room.
All right, that was clever.
Former President Trump
for a news
has
joke,
been indicted in
that
4
was
different
clever.
states on 91 counts. He will be processed tomorrow in Georgia at the Fulton County Jail for charges relating to the 2020 election loss.
You all signed a pledge to support the eventual Republican nominee. If former President Trump is convicted in a court of law, would you still support him as your party's choice? Please raise your hand if you would.
Oh shit. Oh my God. The cowardice.
Hold on. So just to be clear, Governor Christie, you were kind of late to the game there, but you raised your hand?
No, I'm doing this. Look, I'm doing this.
And I know you didn't.
Whoa.
No. What's look, here's the bottom line. Someone's got to stop normalizing this conduct. Okay?
Boom.
And
maybe the only thing we've ever agreed on
whether
politically.
or not you believe that the criminal charges are right or wrong, the conduct is beneath the office of President of the United States.
Well, and the place to discover whether it was right or wrong is a court of law. Prosecutors say they got a case. Let's find out in the proper venue, in front of a judge.
Booing is allowed, but it doesn't change the truth.
Boom.
It doesn't change the truth.
Mr. Ramaswamy, you raised your hand supporting.
I'd like to get in and respond. Let's just speak the truth, okay? President Trump, I believe, was the best president of the 21st century. It's a fact. And
He will literally go down as the worst U.S. president in history.
And grievance would be a lot more credible
Worse
if
than
your
Hoover.
entire campaign were not based on vengeance and grievance against one man. And if people at home want to see a bunch of people blindly bashing Donald Trump without an iota of vision for this country, they could just change the channel to MSNBC right now. But I'm not running for president of MSNBC. I am running for president of the United States. We're skating on thin ice, and we cannot set a precedent where the party in power uses police force to indict its political opponents. It is wrong.
Whooping his ass is not the same as blindly bashing, just for the record.
30 seconds, cover.
You make me laugh because you sit here in an answer. You sit here in an answer right.
Hold on one second.
You sit here in an answer.
Go ahead, Governor Christie.
Hold on, Governor Christie.
Hold on.
Well, so listen, the more time we spend doing this, the less time they can talk about issues you want to talk about.
It is like dealing with a rowdy classroom.
I'm going to stand up for the rule of law.
Yes.
And law and order. And the fact is that it can't be selective. In your book, you had much different things to say about Donald Trump than you're saying here tonight.
That's not true.
No, it is very true.
That is not
It's
true.
very true. I read it,
Because
and
there's
I
a
know.
difference
Look,
between bad behavior and illegal behavior, Chris. And you as a prosecutor should know better.
Yeah, you know what? I know a lot better.
There's a difference between bad behavior.
And I know a lot better than you do. You've never done it like you've never done anything to try to advance the interests of this government except to put yourself forward as a candidate tonight. And here's the thing. We've stood up for law and order. I did it as U.S. attorney. I did it as governor. And I am not going to bow to anyone when we have a president of the United States who disrespects the Constitution. He said,
Get your MSNBC contributor.
he said,
these are politicized indictments.
Martha,
have to call out the truth.
Martha, it's important to say that the president said, Donald Trump said, it's okay to suspend the Constitution.
True.
Now, the oath you take is to preserve, protect, and defend, not suspend. I will always stand up for our Constitution, regardless of the political pressure.
Right, we have another question for you. We're going to get everyone in on this issue, but I have another question. I have another question. Hold on, you will. All right, so President Trump's former vice president is on this stage tonight. He has faced hecklers on the campaign trail over his actions on January the 6th. On that day, the vice president moved forward with the certification of the election.
Oh, I want to find
So
this
do
out.
you believe that Mike Pence did the right thing, Senator Scott? Do you believe he did the right thing?
Absolutely. He did the right thing. Number one. Number two.
That's one. Good.
We should be asking ourselves a bigger question about
Can
the
we count to
weaponization
8?
of the Department of Justice. When I'm president, the first thing I'll do is fire Merrick Garland. Second thing I'll do, fire Christopher Wray, because we need ladies.
I'd actually be fine with him firing Merrick Garland. Please fire Merrick Garland.
In our justice system, 17% of Republicans have confidence in our Department of Justice. Here's why. We keep seeing not only the weaponization of the Department of Justice against political opponents, but also against parents who show up at school board meetings. They're called, under this DOJ, they're called domestic terrorists.
Firing Christopher
but that's not, but that's not
Because they are
Actually,
domestic terrorists.
Let me finish my comments.
Yes.
Oh, I
Not
got
only
one
that,
from Fox.
in addition to that, we see the SWAT team show up at pro-life activist homes with guns drawn because
they dared to mail a bomb to an abortion doctor. And now the SWAT team's being called on them. We cannot allow this to happen to good, decent American terrorists.
Nation on God's green earth.
We have an important
But Governor
question still
DeSantis,
to
do you
answer.
believe that Mike Pence did the right thing on January 6th?
So here's what we need to do. We need to end the weaponization of these federal agencies.
But that's not
I
the
will
question.
do
Start
that.
with a yes or no.
I know, but here's the thing.
answer the
This
question?
election
I know,
is
but I'm
not about
uncomfortable answering it, so I'm
January
gonna go on and
6th of
answer something
2021.
else.
It's about January 20th of 2025, when the next president is going to take office. I know what the Democrats would like to do. They want to talk about all
right,
these other
sneak
issues,
in
but
your
we've got
answer.
to focus
Get it
on
in real
your
quick.
future. We've got to focus on reversing the
Will you
decline
even
of
have
our
the
country.
guts?
I learned in the military, I was assigned with U.S. Navy SEALs in Iraq, that you focus on the mission
I was escorted
above all
by
else.
U.S. Navy
You
SEALs.
can't get distracted. So Republicans, we've got to look forward, and we've got to make sure that we're bringing the message that can win. And
Don't tell me this guy had the courage to fight an enemy of the United States. He didn't even have the courage to answer a question.
Is to support and defend the Constitution of the United States. I think the American people deserve to know whether everyone on this stage agrees that I kept my oath to the Constitution that day. There's no more important duty. So answer the question.
I've answered this before.
So yes.
Why are we?
How about once?
Mike did
Answer
his
it once.
duty. I got no
Tell us
beef
what your
with him,
answer
but here's the
was.
thing.
What's the answer?
Is this what we're going to be
Oh,
focusing
just
on
knock it
going
in.
forward? The rehashing of this? I'll tell you,
Governor
the
DeSantis,
Democrats would love that, and they
spent-
will win if we
Governor
let them get away
DeSantis,
with it. I'm not
Answer the question.
hanging out in the basement this time. We're going to run him ragged around this country, and we're going to hold him accountable.
Let me just say, Governor DeSantis, we spent an hour talking about policy. Former President Trump is beating you
Did
by
you?
30,
Christ.
40 points in many polls. So it is a factor in the GOP primary. Governor Hutchinson, you did not raise your hand.
I did not raise my hand because there's an important issue we as a party have to face. And over a year ago, I said that Donald Trump was morally disqualified from being president again as a result of what happened on January 6th. More people are understanding the importance of that, including conservative legal scholars who says he may be disqualified under the 14th Amendment from being president again as a result of the insurrection. This is something that could disqualify him under our rules and under the Constitution. And so, obviously, I'm not going to support somebody who's been convicted of a serious felony or who is disqualified under our Constitution, and that's consistent with RNC rules, and I hope everybody would agree with me.
It wasn't exactly brave, but at least it was forthright.
Can I answer the question?
Can I get in on that?
Okay, I'd like to answer.
I've already been
Can I take a piece of that ass? Okay, good.
I'd like to answer the question you asked and not give a pre-canned speech.
Ha!
Mike Pence stood for the Constitution, and he deserves not grudging credit. He deserves our thanks as Americans for putting his oath of office and the Constitution of the United States before personal, political, and unfair pressure. And the argument that we need to
painful still
in
there.
this
I'm gonna have a
party,
question for you in a
before
second.
we can move on to the issues that Ron talked about, is we have to dispense with the person who said that we need to suspend the Constitution to put forward his political career. Mike Pence said no, and he deserves credit for it.
Okay.
All right, I have a question for what was it? He might be a little angry because I had to take out one of his comments. Painful stupidity. If you're still watching, here's my question for you. My theory is that a conservative voter will respect the chutzpah that Chris Christie has to be blunt about his opinion there and not respect everybody else that just tap danced around it. Is that accurate? And let's see what Haley's up to.
Don't want a rematch between Trump and Biden. And we have to face the fact that Trump is the most
Hard for me
disliked
to
politician
take
in
her
America. We can't win a general election that way.
But I like her answer, I guess.
Governor Bergen.
It's Governor Bergen, opportunity.
Happy to answer the question. Mike Pence did the right thing on January 6th. But I would say you started off the top of this hour saying we're going to talk about China, Ukraine, education.
We are.
China is the number one threat to our country. And every minute that these 8 candidates spend talking about
Interesting. So the response from Painful Stupidity, no, he's a doofus. Here's my question. Do you not think that his answer was clear there versus in comparison? I mean, well, let me try this again. Do you not think his answer was more direct, more easy to understand where he stands on this issue than everybody else? Because if you were to tell me whether or not DeSantis genuinely supports Trump or doesn't support Trump running for office, even though he's running, Ron DeSantis is running, I wouldn't be able to answer. Follow up, let me know.
Was this
Vivek,
corrupt?
here's the difference between you and me.
Yeah, I'm not a professional politician. That's the difference. Who can answer a question?
I've actually given pardons when I was governor of the state of Indiana. It usually follows a finding of guilt and contrition by the individual that's been convicted. So, look, if I'm president of the United States, we'll give fair consideration to any pardon request. But if I may,
Still
it's
cowardly.
not about looking back at January 2021. It's about January 20th, 2017. I put my left hand on Ronald Reagan's Bible. I raised my right hand. And I took an oath to support and defend the Constitution of the United States. And it ended with a prayer, so help me God. It was a promise that I made to the American people, but I also made it to my Heavenly Father. Every day for 4 years, I sought to keep that oath. And everyone on this stage needs to make it clear whether or not they'll do the same if they earn this job and the confidence of the American people. Now, look, I've made it clear. I had hoped that the issues surrounding the 2020 election and the controversies around January 6th had not come to this, had not come to criminal proceedings. I would rather they had been resolved by...
I'm not going to let him talk longer than Fox is going to let him talk, though. Christ. So, Painful Stupidity in regards to Christie, I think he shouldn't have spoken up at that moment, and not knowing when to and to not speak is very important for being in office. Yeah, I mean, fair enough. Fair enough. No follow-ups. Interesting thing between Pence and Vivek Ramaswamy there. That's the second time Ramaswamy has specifically talked about something in the future, and Pence has specifically talked about that same thing in the past. Again, this happened with Ramaswamy earlier saying, we need to look at January 20th, 2024. And Pence just then said, January 17th, or January 20th, 2017, when I swore, blah, 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 blah. It's an interesting contrast, and I think it says a lot about both of them.
$4 billion more. Regardless of that, the specifics of that plan, is there anyone on stage who would not support the increase of more funding to Ukraine?
We would not support it.
Europe needs to step up. I mean, I would have Europe step up and do their job.
All right, Mr. Ramaswamy, but you're saying you would not too, Governor DeSantis?
I will have Europe pull their weight. Right now, they're not doing that.
Would not.
Once again, listen to that. Not whether or not Ukraine should get more funding. They're not dealing with the difficult question. They're saying, I think the other guy in the room ought to do more. He should do more. Should this thing be done, though? Well, the other guy, it's his job, so...
Against an invasion across somebody else's border when we should use those same military resources to prevent across the invasion of our own southern...
I do not want an Abrams tank on U.S. soil driving around doing what an Abrams tank is supposed to do. This guy's a jackass. That he just said that one sentence demonstrates either that he has no idea how this stuff works, that he is certain that you have no idea how it works and will not bother to look it up or even think about it for just 5 minutes, or more likely, both. But to be clear, we don't need an Abrams tank in the U.S. doing what they do.
Vladimir Putin's army was doing to the free Ukrainian people.
To bits.
And let me tell you, I want you all to look around this arena tonight and imagine that every one of these seats was filled. And if every one of them was filled, there would still be 2,500 more children outside to make over 20,000 who have been abducted, stolen, ripped from their mothers and fathers, and brought back to Russia to be programmed to fight their own families. They have gouged out people's eyes, cut off their ears, and shot people in the back of the head, men, and then gone into those homes and raped the daughters and the wives who were left as widows and orphans.
That is a fact. I despise Christie. I said I'd only agree with him on one thing. I take it back. It's two. He's correct. And truly, if you have chosen to ask yourself honestly whether or not Russia, I don't give a fuck what Vivek has to say, what business Russia had invading Ukraine, or what an invasion actually means, there's only one answer. We cannot allow one of our allies to be murdered by another country.
We've been the
When you
leader of the
murder
free
a
world.
whole people, that's called a genocide.
The Reagan doctrine years ago made it clear. We said, if you're willing to fight the communists on your soil, we'll give you the means to fight them there so our troops don't have to fight them. Vivek, if we do the giveaway that you want to give to Putin to give him his land, it's not going to be too long before he rolls across a NATO border, and frankly, our men and women of our armed forces are going to have to go and fight him. I want to let the Ukrainians fight and drive Putin and the Russians back out.
Don't like the taste of those facts, do you, Vivek?
Vice President Pence, I have a newsflash. The USSR does not exist anymore. It fell back in 1990.
Russia does. And fun fact, Putin was a KGB officer. So somebody who was very much in the worst parts of the USSR is currently running Russia and trying to start it up again. By the way, he considers Belarus to be part of Russia. Belarus's leader is propped up by Putin, and he is trying to make Ukraine part of Russia. He is literally trying to restart the USSR.
Respond. The real threat we face today is communist China, and we are driving Russia further into China's arms.
They are
the
not.
Russia-China
Global
military
warming is.
alliance is the single greatest threat we face. Nobody in either political party is talking about it. And I am
Democrats are constantly talking about China. God help us.
Mr. Vice President, we can't hear. Mr. Vice President.
For the record, and let me bring it back to a comment I saw earlier. A Democrat debate on this would sound almost identical, and that's terrifying to me.
Strength.
Mr. Vice
America needs to stand for freedom.
Okay, here we go.
All right.
We need to establish some ground rules
When we
folks.
hear this bell, that means your time's done. So, Mr. Vice President, we appreciate your aggressiveness here. 30
For
seconds
once
is
in his
30
life.
seconds. Mr. Ramaswamy, you were mentioned. You get 30 seconds.
So the
All right,
reality
let's
is
let him talk.
that
I've interrupted him a lot.
today, Ukraine is not a priority for the United States of America. And I think that the same people who took us into the Iraq War, the same people who took us into the Vietnam War, you cannot start another no-win war. And I do not want to get to the point where we're sending our military resources abroad when we could be better using them here at home to protect our own borders.
This guy doesn't think we can take Russia in a ground war? Russia almost lost to itself in this war. We can take him, son.
Meaning that you would support more funding for the Ukraine war. You have said of Governor DeSantis that you didn't appreciate it when he initially called it a territorial dispute. Why?
First of all, the American president needs to have moral clarity. They need to know the difference between right and wrong. They need to know the difference between good and evil. Right. When you look at the situation with Russia and Ukraine, here you have a pro-American country that was invaded by a thug. So when you want to talk about what has been given to Ukraine, less than 3.5% of our defense budget has been given to Ukraine. If you look at the percentages per GDP, 11 of the European countries have given more than the U.S. But what's really important is go back to when China and Russia held hands, shook hands before the Olympics, and named themselves unlimited partners. A win for Russia is a win for China. We have to know that. Ukraine is the first line of defense for us. And the problem that Vivek doesn't understand is he wants to hand Ukraine to Russia. He wants to let China eat Taiwan. He wants to go and stop funding Israel. You don't do that to friends. What you do instead is you have the backs of your friends. Ukraine is the front line of defense. Putin has said once Russia takes Ukraine, Poland and the Baltics are next. That's a world war. We're trying to prevent war. Look at what Putin did today. He killed Prigozhin. When I was at the UN, the Russian ambassador suddenly died. This guy is a murderer, and you are choosing a murderer over a pro-American.
Boom. Hell, that's credit to Nikki Haley on that.
First of all,
I want to look at one comment because it was fantastic. Where the hell was it? John Doe. The hawkishness on China seems to be a bipartisan consensus in Congress, unfortunately. Yes. It's really annoying. Pinkerbell, LOL, that's cute. The moderator's acting like they have control of this. And Mark's BBR with a incredibly valid point. We signed a treaty in 1994 to protect Ukraine's territorial integrity. We're standing by our word. And let me add to that. The reason we signed that treaty was so that they would agree. I don't give what this guy has to say. It was so that they would agree to give up their nukes. We agreed to use our overwhelming military might, which we had then and we have a hell of a lot more of now, in exchange for them agreeing to not be a nuclear power. When you are a nuclear power, you don't have to worry about the kind of invasion that Russia's currently doing. It's just, the only problem is, if you have a psychopath dictator like, say, Donald Trump, you might blow up the world. And so, in exchange for not being a nuclear power, we agreed to protect them. Now we got to protect them, and we can't be cowards about it. Let's hear what this coward has to say.
Your first obligation is to defend our country and its people. And that means you're sending all this money, but you're not doing what we need to do to...
And that means you're sending all this money, but you're not doing what we need to do here, which is lock our doors and crawl under the mattress and pull the covers over us and cower like little baby boys. It's my best DeSantis impression.
Across the border, that's going to be the last thing they do. We're going to
You,
use
brown
force, and we're going to
people.
leave them stone cold dead.
We're actually going to move on to China. We're going to talk about China.
Okay.
Governor Burgum.
We're going to do our
China
best to
has the
get a
biggest
war
navy in the
started
world,
with
the
the
biggest
with the
army
other
in the
remaining
world.
superpower.
Now they have warships off the coast of Alaska. They are threatening Taiwan. In coming years, China will have 1,500 nuclear warheads, it's believed. The U.S. just arrested 2 sailors accused of spying for China within our military. So the question is, how would you deter China as a president, Burgum?
Well, this is the #1 issue we're facing. And of course, we haven't been talking about it, and we act like that letting Russia win in the Ukraine is like a gimme as opposed to a gift to China. Russia has become China's gas station. But how would we do it? The Biden administration is a complete fail. China imports 10 million barrels of oil a day, more than any other country in the world. They do not even have all the food they need to feed everybody in that country, so they don't have energy security or food security. But the Biden administration sends Blinken, Yellen over there. They're over there. They don't even bring up energy because they're too busy trying to kill the U.S. energy here. And what we need to do is not meetings, not press releases, because something that would send a lot more than a press release is actually Harpoon missiles. We need anti-ship missiles on Taiwan. The way that you have a war never start, which is the goal, the way you have peace through strength, is that you actually have strength. You actually have deterrence. And
point a gun right at somebody's face, and that never escalates and goes horribly awry. Hey, Painfully, you're our resident right-wing opinion on this tonight. What do you think of this guy? Oh God, I can't even remember his name. Doug Burgum. What do you think of Doug Burgum? Mars Falcon. Burn the earth, appease Putin, and dismantle the administrative state. Oh my God, the administrative state, so government can help nobody. That is Vivek. That's all he has. Yep, he has that and some real weak rapping skills.
Okay, Senator Scott on China. That same question.
Can I speak about China?
Let's fire the 87,000 IRS agents and hire or double the number of Border Patrol agents. I just left Yuma, Arizona about 2 weeks ago. The most pressing need of the American people from a national security standpoint is our southern border.
No, it is not. It's simply that is not true, and I'm not going to sit around here and debunk the same thing over and over. Folks, if you want, let me know. We'll do a whole stream on why the southern border is not the greatest danger. It's not even a top 10, for Christ's sake. Every time somebody takes a question that is not about the southern border and makes it about the southern border, whether or not you think, brown people should all be tossed into a literal meat grinder or whatever it is that allows a Republican politician to achieve a full erection, ask yourself why they can't just answer the question that they were asked. Do you think they're not going to have a moment in the Fox debate to fearmonger about the southern border? They'll get an opportunity. So why weren't they answering the question they were asked? Could it just be that they don't have a good answer to share?
Casualties, and that's a statistic, but these are sons and daughters, nieces and nephews that we're losing. We've got North Dakota troops down there flying night helicopter missions from San Diego to the Gulf Coast, trying to stop these transnational criminal organizations. They've got better funding on their side than we've got on our side.
Speaking of which, Governor Hutchinson, images from earlier this month, Governor Hutchinson,
with Mexico,
Vice President Pence, images from earlier this month. Vice President Pence, it really doesn't help. I'm asking a question. Earlier this month,
he's trying so hard
showed
to be courageous.
Cartel members
he has no idea
crossing
what that
into Texas
like.
with rifles. Do you consider this an invasion?
It's a brown person.
Would you authorize lethal force along that border?
There would be lethal force used by the Border Patrol, law enforcement as needed to protect the border. Absolutely. When you look at the military has to be used for intelligence gathering purposes. This is not unusual. Whenever I was in the Bush administration,
interesting. No applause for just killing brown people.
President
That's
Vicente Fox of Mexico and asked his help in going after the cartels. And he looked at me and said, they're a problem to us as well. And so we joined together and we took down the Ariana Felix brothers leading the Tijuana cartel, and that made a difference. Ramon was shot and killed, and Ben Amin was captured. Cooperation makes a difference. We cannot be successful going against the cartel unless we bring in Mexico as a partner. We have to use economic pressure to accomplish that. President Obrador has not been helpful, and we have to use economic pressure that this administration is not using. The rule of law has to matter on both sides of it.
Okay.
This is critical. I've done it. We know what needs to be done. The military has to be limited in its use. When after 9/11, we had the global war on terror, and guess what? We protected the border at the same time. You can do both.
Okay, let's go to Governor DeSantis. So as president, would you support sending U.S. Special Forces over the border into Mexico to...
I'm sorry. I understand that for the very person I'm going to be talking to, you probably want to hear this. I'll just tell you. I'll break it to you. It doesn't matter what he's going to say. It's a nonsense question. We simply will not send special forces over it's an act of war. And moving on is all I'm going to say. That's a nonsense question. Painful Stupidity asked a question. that I found interesting. Or said something I found interesting. And I'm sorry I missed the exact wording, but what you said was you'd like to see COVID reparations demanded from China. That's an interesting concept. I don't believe I would agree with it, but it's an interesting pitch. I mean, look, even if you don't believe it was made in a lab, and by the way, I don't believe that COVID came from a lab, but the reality is we simply will never know for sure. But setting aside that question, the fact remains China was pretty cagey about what it was after they knew what it was. That's a problem. Should we demand some form of reparations from China for COVID? That's a question for all of you, and specifically for Painfully in there. How would we get that exactly? What force would we use to demand it? Would it be economic? Would it be military? If it's military, how do we stop it from escalating? But if it is economic, how do we stop them from simply, we turn off one spigot, how do we stop them from doing the same thing to us? So there's my question. Should we demand reparations of some sort? I think $3 trillion might be asking a bit much, but okay. From China for COVID or not? And let me follow this up, though, with this. My answer is no, because it was a communicable disease, and that could happen literally anywhere in the world, and there is a very sad history of blaming a whole peoples for simply getting sick. And I don't think that's fair.
The United States of America, I will engage Mexico the exact same way, and we will partner with the Mexican military, and we will hunt down and destroy the cartels that are claiming lives in the United States of America.
Okay, thank you. Another issue that is related to this is that almost 7 million migrants have crossed this border, our southern border, during the Biden administration. So, Governor Christie, what would you do about the 7 million who are here? How would you handle them? What would you do?
Look, Martha, the first thing we need to do is to stop any more from coming. That's the first thing we need to do. Then the next thing we need to do with the folks that are here is to, again, as we talked about all night tonight, we have to have law and order in this country. We have to enforce the law. And what that
7 million immigrants, not 7 million criminals, not 7 million illegal immigrants, 7 million immigrants.
Many wonderful people from around the world who are waiting in line, following the law to try to come here and pursue the American dream.
So if you're not aware, let me just say this for the millionth time. There is a procedure for claiming refuge in the United States. Step 1, physically get here. When you come to the United States and you beg for help, there's because your life is in danger, there's an official way to do that. And step 1 is you arrive here. So when you see people trudging through mud and crawling out of a river, going through hell to be on our country, number 1, you should be honored that somebody wants to be on your team that bad. And number 2, understand they are following the law. Ever see him waving at the cameras? Hello, I made it, hello. Thank God almighty, I made it. Unfortunately, then they have a Texan greeting them, and they get the absolute taint end of American, the American experience. I already regret saying that. I know a lot of Texans that are lovely folks, but and I don't want to one of the good ones. But the point is, they're not breaking the law by showing up without papers. Oh, good. I'm glad. I'll keep that up for a little bit. There it is. Wanted to have a look at the crowd. All right, well, they break down. Let's talk with the audience. Leon Russo. I'd trust any migrant before I'd trust any Republican. That's basically how I feel as well, if I'm being honest. Richard Hinckley. Just a point of fact, immigrants commit crimes at a lower rate than the people born here. That is true, because there are greater consequences for their crimes, and also for, if they do the exact same thing, and also simply because it requires a certain degree of capability to get here in the first place.
Of DeSantis, we're showing the video right now. There it is. Oh, look, Ron goes, "You're up, I'm up." Yeah, Chris Christie, kind of. Will, what do you make of this block of?
Oh God, that was a hell of a moment. I want to see that, and if there's any answers to that China question. Oh, Jim Green with the very kind $10 super chat. Thank you so much, man. I appreciate that. That helps me do this channel. I very much appreciate it. Leon Russo, no immigrants equals no cheap labor. Yeah, that's it exactly. Understand that the American process of farming literally relies on immigrants. And in fact, it literally relies on illegal immigrants. Oh-ho. People that are paid unfair wages under the table. Without that, most of the food we end up eating simply does not arrive in the store to be bought. And we are experiencing that in Florida currently. And next year is going to suck for buying groceries because of it. Let me scroll up and see if I can get that. Tax the wealthy more, Dakota Man, says Mars Falcon. Then we can fund ourselves. Yeah, Dimble? All right, fair enough. Just for fun. Good night. It was fun hanging out. I'm glad you stopped by. Mars Falcon in quotes, fire law enforcement so the rich can get away with theft. Theocratic fascist man. Yeah. John Doe, if the U.S. would stop being so hawkish on China, we could work with them to effectively develop cheaper energy renewables. We're too far behind on the climate crisis. I wholeheartedly agree. Jim Green, hate to say it, folks, but we are a nation of idiots and have been for the last couple of decades. Yeah. All right, let's see. Oh no, they're not cooking yet. Fair enough. The anti-corporatist. I was a restaurant manager for half a decade before I saw a real green card. I was like, whoa, this looks just like my passport card, only green instead of blue. Tinkerbell, it's so weird how these people on stage serve capitalists, but capitalists have a vested interest in having a pool of labor to exploit. It is shocking. I tell you, I spent a couple of years as a salesman, and this reminds me of that. If you've ever worked for a terrible company, which tries to sell a product that they know is bad, this is what you end up hearing all the time. And I had a tremendous amount of success simply saying, this is a terrible product, but at the price you're asking, it's the best you'll do. And I believe that to be true. If it's not, tell me, and I'll go work for that company. That was my entire pitch. These folks, none of them have the guts to give the real pitch. Listen, if you still want to be in a crowd where they say it's okay to hate people of color, you're going to have to give all your taxes to a rich man.
Responsibility to fix this crisis as we see it.
Absolutely. The decline in education is one of the major reasons why our country is in decline. We need education in this country, not indoctrination in this country. And in Florida,
which is why I'm trying to indoctrinate our way.
During COVID, and a lot of the problems that we've seen are because these lockdown states lock their kids out of school for a year and a half. That was wrong. We stood up. I took a lot of fire for that. I was pilloried by the media, but I stood for our kids. And as president, I'll stand for you and your kids as well. But we have to make sure that what our schools are doing is focusing on solid academics. In Florida, we eliminated critical race theory from our K-12 schools. We eliminated gender ideology from our K-12 schools. And we have elevated the importance of American civics and teaching our kids about the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. As president, I'm going to lead an effort to increase civic understanding and knowledge of our Constitution. We cannot be graduating students that don't have any foundation in what it means to be an American.
Mr. Ramaswamy, Mr. Ramaswamy, hold on, Senator Scott. You've said that the Department of Education, the FBI, the ATF, the Nuclear Regulatory Commission, the IRS, the Department of Commerce, many of these should not exist.
That's correct.
So to the education question, how would you deal with the crisis?
Christ.
So look, we have a crisis of achievement. Let's shut down the head of the snake, the Department of Education. Take that $80 billion, put it in the hands of parents across this country. This is the civil rights issue of our time. Allow any parent to choose where they send their kids to school. End the teachers' unions at the local level to allow public schools to compete. And then revive our national identity.
He wants to do away with the teachers' union.
The same civics test that, frankly, every immigrant, including my mother, had to pass in order to become a citizen of this country. And the fact of the matter is, look, there's a part of education policy that also rests with the family. I didn't grow up in money, but you know the word privilege gets used a lot? Well, you know what? I did have the ultimate privilege of 2 parents in the house with a focus on educational achievement. And I want every kid to enjoy that. So part of the problem is we also have a federal government that pays single women more not to have a man in the house than to have a man in the house, contributing to an epidemic of fatherlessness. And I think that goes hand in glove with the education crisis as well, because we have to remember education starts with the family, and the nuclear family is the greatest form of governance known to mankind.
Okay. So, Governor Burgum, Governor Haley has said that biological boys playing in girls' sports is the women's issue of our time. You said that even though you signed a ban on this in North Dakota, that there hadn't been one instance where it was.
Nikki Haley, no. Trans rights is the issue of our time, and I am determined to be on the wrong side of it.
In our state, but I would absolutely do that. But I do think when we start talking about education and we think that we're going to have a federal government one size fits all, we're just completely losing track of the fact that education differs by states. Some school districts are doing a fantastic job, some less so. But the idea that every school district, state, and every teacher is somehow indoctrinating people is just false. You know, when I was building a company from scratch, you know, with small town kids, and we went, you know, grew up in a town of 300, but we built a global company in 132 countries with over 100,000 customers. We listened to those customers. We spent time with them. We talked to them. We did that. And as governor, well, education is one of the biggest part of a state budget. So as a governor, I shadow a student. I don't, the night before I find out the student finds out, I'm going to go to every class with them. I don't sit and lecture school districts how to do it. I go and see the experience. And there's a lot of things that have to change. But what needs to change in education is it's innovation. We're doing it the same way we did it 50 years ago with innovation, not regulation. I would get rid of the Department of Education. I would give block grants to schools, but I'd give them on merit based on who's doing the most innovative. I just got done holding the 7th annual Governor's Conference on Innovation and Education. You should see what the people are doing when you cut loose the red tape, get the burden off their back. They care. Teachers in this country, the vast majority of them care about those.
Oh no. Well, maybe this will do it. It wasn't exactly fire. But I'll say this. Ramaswamy was so... His response was so bad that I found it entertaining. I'm going to attempt to refresh this puppy. Let's have a look. Mm-hmm. Do we have that magic? Do we have that magic? I mean, I think we can all agree that we blame Matt from the Majority Report if this doesn't play properly.
Because
that's clearly the responsible thing to do.
Girls become strong women become strong leaders, and biological boys don't belong in the locker rooms of any of our girls.
F yourself, you bigoted scumbag, Nikki Haley.
And the first question is, going to go.
I'm glad I can
to you,
still
Vice
hate that
President.
woman.
So this is a lightning round of
'Cause,
questions, 30-second answers,
I was
please.
dangerously close to liking her
President
Ukraine
Biden will
response.
be 82 years old on Inauguration Day. Nearly 70% of Americans say that he is too old to serve.
Vivek
presidents
Ramaswamy
have
should
to
just do
pass
jumping
a mental
jacks.
and
That would win the
physical
night.
Test in
Just
order
jumping
to
jacks.
serve Vice President Pence.
Well, it might be a good idea to have everybody in Washington, D.C. pass a mental and but,
He's hoping for
30
more applause
seconds,
than
no.
he got, but
The
that's
American
fine.
people can make those judgments. But let me say, I'm running for president of the United States.
Oh, you're killing me. You're killing me, Smalls. Well, goddamn. Refresh that cache one more time. I hope this is Fox having the issue and not your old pal Jake.
School choice program in America, and we'll give school choice to every family in America when I'm in the White House.
This is a lightning round, Mr. Ramaswamy. I think you were mentioned there. You're 38. You're the youngest on the stage. You've said, and you just said, you want a civics test or public service for those under 25 to be able to vote. So the question is, do you want a mental acuity test for presidents over 75?
I believe in the people of this country to tell the difference between somebody who's an automaton and somebody who's actually a thinking agent in the White House, which we don't have in there today. And I will tell you, I want to address Vice President Pence's comment.
Obviously,
I think we do need somebody of a different generation to lead this nation forward. Look at the way I've run this campaign. Going to the south side of Chicago, to Kensington, in the middle of Philadelphia, where traditional Republican candidates don't go.
Because they're afraid of black people. I do think, I partially agree with him here. I think we need a different generation of politician. I don't think their actual age really matters all that much. But we do not need in 2028
I will answer that.
a bunch of people that have been in office for 15 years.
Everybody's get control of this debate.
Everybody's going to get a chance to get
Listen,
control
we're getting
of this
control
debate.
of the debate.
Oh,
this is
Nikki
a lightning
Haley.
round, not rolling thunder. Governor Hutchinson, you have 30 seconds on the same question.
On education, first of all, look
Kind
at
of a good
Arkansas.
bird.
We have to compete with China. I built computer science education. We led the nation in computer science education, going from 1,100 students to 23,000 students taking it. This is how you compete with China. As President of the United States, I will make sure we go from 51% of our schools offering computer science to every school in rural areas and urban areas offering computer science for the benefit of our kids, and we can compete with China in terms of technology.
Thank you, sir. This is going to go to this is coming to you. We're trying to do a quick round of different topics here. So, Senator Scott, faith is on decline in this country. You talked about it a little bit before tonight. So, is there a role for a president of the United States in changing that? What would you do to change that?
Well, our nation was founded upon
religious leaders.
Judeo-Christian values that has made us the greatest nation on God's green earth. I'm a big believer in Ephesians 3:20 that God is able to do exceedingly abundantly above all that we ask or imagine. Our responsibility should be to model the behavior we want others to follow. On education, the only way we change education in this nation is to break the backs of the teachers' unions. They are standing in the doorhouse of our kids, locking them into failing schools and locking them out of the greatest future.
Tim Scott wants to break the back of teachers' unions. Do you hear that, teachers?
Some mandatory
Just
military
thought you
service
should,
for all Americans.
I
Make
think
sure
it should
you
be
heard that.
voluntary. I'm somebody that volunteered to serve,
Fair
inspired by
enough. Good
September
answer,
11th,
DeSantis.
and I deployed to Iraq alongside U.S. Navy SEALs in places like Fallujah, Ramadi. And it's something that I think has taught me, you know, when you go in that type of environment, anything you have, your personal agenda, you check it at the door. You go there, and it's about focusing on the mission above all else.
And making fun of people as they get tortured. That's what it's about.
Being the President of the United States. It's not about me. It's not about all these other side issues. My sole focus will be on your future and reversing this country's decline.
Okay, now for something a little out of this world, and this is for you, Governor Christie. Do you believe that the recent spike in UFO encounters...
I get the UFO question?
Yeah, you do.
Come on,
there
man.
You go. No,
Yeah.
But
Don't settle for that, Chris Christie.
We've been hearing a lot of testimony in Congress, and people are taking this a lot more seriously.
It's a distraction.
And we're hearing that, there are things going on that people aren't aware of. So, if you were president, Governor Christie, would you level with the American people about what the government knows about these possible encounters?
Martha, and especially coming from a woman from New Jersey, I think it's horrible that just because I'm from New Jersey, you asked me about unidentified flying objects and Martians.
I don't follow that gag.
We're different, but we're not that different. Look, of course, the job of the President of the United States is to level with the American people about everything. The job of the President of the United States is to stand for truth. The job of the President of the United States is to be a role model for our children and our grandchildren. And so whether it was UFOs...
Yeah, but mostly it's to either sign or veto laws, bills. That's really what the job is.
Unions in New Jersey and drove them down to an all-time low popularity rating because they were putting themselves before our kids. That is the biggest threat to our country, not UFOs.
Okay. Well, coming up, we've got closing arguments. Plus, right after the debate, Hannity is live from the spin room right here in the Fiserv Forum with reaction from all the candidates.
I find it hilarious that they just straight up call it the spin room. All right, fair enough. Let's see what the Wicked community has to say. Oh boy, oh boy. Richard Hinckley still trying to imply he was a SEAL without saying it. This is disgusting. Yeah. It really is heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking to me to see what he thinks of the people he's trying to get to vote for him. He does not have a very high opinion of them. I'll say that. I would love for some SEALs that were with him to come out there and break down exactly what it is he did, because I promise you, it didn't look anything like a Tom Clancy novel. And I take that back. Tom Clancy has written about more than action. It didn't look like a Splinter Cell game. How about that? One Call of Duty. It was more getting called to the bench to explain tricky legal matters. Leon Russo, Area 51 is Ron DeSantis' favorite disco. Fair enough. Yeah, closing arguments. That's a weird thing. That's a weird way to put it. Jeff Taylor. I don't know why I keep saying Joff. That's really weird of me. That's a normal spelling of the name Jeff, and I'm going to start saying it normal. Jeff Taylor. I yelled from the rooftops during the 90s when all across right-wing talk radio, the leaders of the Republican Party called for the destruction of the public school system, killing the teachers' unions, infiltrate school boards. We need a mass of uneducated labor, this is in quotes, to compete with the third world. Yeah, It disturbs me how openly they can wear their agenda and still get elected. I don't understand what's being heard here by these folks that appeals to them. But when we are blessed to have them stop by, I do like to ask, and sometimes we make some progress. Leon Russo, we want everyone in the world to have more guns and John Wayne films. Yeah. John Doe, just something to store for local school board elections. All right, I'll look up at that. Are we back yet? No, not quite. Not quite there yet. Right-wing retcon. I'm on heavy neurological medication. I did the Montreal battery. Trump beat me. Fair enough. Or the Montreal battery? I don't know how to pronounce that. I apologize. Leon Russo. Rolling Thunder was Nixon's carpet bombing of North Vietnam. That's right. Good on you for recognizing that. Tinkerbell, still celebrating her 1 month as a member. We're delighted to have you. Richard, it's because they only win if the voter pool shrinks dramatically. I'm guessing that it's about the under 25. Yes, it is. Richard Hinckley, the question is, why does being over 25 make it okay not to be able to pass the civics test that people under 25 have to pass? And if a 10-year-old passes that test, can they vote? How about a poll tax? And then Tinkerbell correctly saying, it's because they only win if the voter pool shrinks dramatically. Yes, indeed. Wicked Foxy Dragon, what you can do, read my blog about why Republicans want to destroy public schools. You know I will. Oh yes, I look forward to it. Leon Russo, the whole show, this whole show is theater for the base. Kind of. I'll tell you this: if you find yourself on the MAGA side, don't let me say I never paid you a compliment. I think even though the things that the MAGA voters want to accomplish are misinformed and ultimately, I think, knowingly destructive, I do think there is something to be learned from them and their tactics that they use. MAGA has demonstrated that the U.S. is still a country where the people can make the politicians do what they want. And I think progressives, of which I am one, and a good amount of the audience is as well, progressives ought to start doing that with their politicians. Now, that said, I don't think this needs to be limited to progressives. I think there are an awful lot of things that different political breeds of American agree on. For example, taxing the filthy rich more, making it easier to start a small business, holding our elected representatives to a higher standard, be it Joe Biden or Donald Trump. F it. If they broke the law, put them in jail for it. Remember Hillary? How badly people wanted her in jail? You know what? I didn't think she actually broke the law, but if it was proven that she did, I wouldn't have shed a tear for her. Let's hear their closing arguments.
American voters, why you are the person who can inspire this nation to a better day. These are 45 seconds, and we begin with Governor Burgum.
I understand why America's hurting. Biden's inflation is choking us. I grew up in a small town. My dad died when I was a freshman in high school. My mom, widow of 3, went back to work. Every job I had growing up was one where I took a shower at the end of the day, not at the beginning of the day. Our cities are less safe because of the fentanyl pouring into this country. Our economy is being crushed by Biden's energy policies, which are raising the cost of every product you buy, not just the gasoline at the pump. One thing that I'll do as president, I'll secure the border. I'll get this economy sprinting, not crawling like it is right now. And I would say that other thing is for sure, when I'm on a horseback in the Badlands of North Dakota, it looks like the horizon is just limitless. And when you can almost see beyond that horizon, you can see that this great country, our future is unlimited. But we've got to focus on innovation, not regulation. We've got to cut the red tape. We've got to drive ourselves forward. The way we win the Cold War with China is by growing our economy and through innovation. And as president, I will bring out the best of America. I will improve every American life.
Governor Hutchinson. Hope you're back on your horse soon, Governor.
Governor Hutchinson.
And the F
Our
out of here.
nation is in trouble. And it's in trouble because of failed leadership. And the solution is not 4 more years of Joseph Biden. The solution is not 4 more years of Donald Trump. The solution is new leadership that can bring bold ideas to America and to bring out the best of America. A president's #1 responsibility is to bring out the best of our people. That's what Ronald Reagan did. And he did it with optimism and hope for our country, with a consistent conservatism. That's exactly what I bring. As president, I'll bring out the best of America in terms of individual responsibility, building our economy, in terms of securing our border, enforcing the rule of law. I'll bring out the best of America in terms of our national character, our faith, and our hope for the future. Join in this fight, asa2024.com.
Thank you,
He
Senator
got the
Scott.
plug. Credit where it's due. He got the plug. He didn't say anything.
I was a disillusioned young man growing up in a single-parent household, mired in poverty. I wondered if the American dream was real for a kid like me. I can stand before you today and say the dream is alive, it is well, and it is healthy. I had the good fortune of a mom who worked 16-hour days, making sure we have food on our tables. She taught me that if you're able-bodied in America, you work. If you take out a loan, you pay it back. If you commit a violent crime, you go to jail. And if God made you a man, you play sports against men. I'm Tim Scott. I'm asking you for your vote. And if you're in Iowa, I'm asking you to caucus for me. You can go to votetimscott.com for more information or to make a contribution.
Give him credit.
Governor Christie.
Thank you, Brett. Thank you, Martha. Look, everybody on this stage wants to be the next president of the United States. And the only way that's going to happen is if we beat Joe Biden. I'm the only one on this stage who's ever beaten a Democratic incumbent in an election. I did it in a deep blue state, being outspent 3-1. Beating a Democratic incumbent is not easy. The last Democratic incumbent president who was defeated was Jimmy Carter. And he was defeated by a conservative governor from a blue state who knew how to get results, who stood for the truth, who cared about accountability, and stood strong and hard against waste. Those are the very things that I did in my 8 years as governor of New Jersey, and it's exactly what I'll do as president of the United States. Believe me, the Democrats want some other nominee who's never beaten the Democratic incumbent. I'm the one who can win this race, and if you give me the chance, I will restore our country by winning it.
I'm not surprised to hear Reagan references. He also wants to be Reagan.
Several weeks
Him and
ago, I dropped my husband, Michael, a combat veteran from Afghanistan, off at 4 a.m. for another year-long deployment.
And
I
after I got
watched
done
him and
celebrating,
230 soldiers pick up their 2 duffel bags of belongings to go to a country they had never been, all in the name of protecting America. If they are willing to protect us from there, we should be willing to fight for America here. I will beat Joe Biden, and he knows that. I will strengthen our economy, and we'll bring this inflation down. We will put transparency in the classroom. We will secure our borders. We will have the backs of our law enforcement, and we will make sure we have a strong national security. And once again, we will make sure we have an America that is strong and proud. We have a country to save. Join us. Go to NikkiHaley.com, and let's get it done.
Vice President Pence.
Thank you, Brad and Martha, for this evening. It's an honor to be here. Joe Biden has weakened America at home and abroad. The disastrous withdrawal from Afghanistan, their war on energy, runaway spending that launched the worst inflation in 40 years, a crisis at our southern border, an assault on our values and liberties.
More energy.
And the American people have had enough.
War on energy.
But I know we can bring it back. But different times call for different leadership. The Republican Party owes the American people a choice. Proven leadership at the national level that knows how to move a conservative agenda forward. We proved in the Trump-Pence years you can turn this country around faster than you can imagine. And I have faith we will again. Because I have faith in the American people, the good, decent, hardworking, faith-filled, idealistic people of this country. And I have faith that God is not done with America yet.
I want to just read this comment. Mars Falcon, she slaved for 16 hours a day and was still in poverty. Now, why is that? Boom. God, I hope you run for office, man.
Are yet to come.
Thank you. Mr. Ramaswamy.
I was born in 1985, and I grew up into a generation where we were taught to celebrate our diversity and our differences so much that we forgot all of the ways we are really just the same as Americans, bound by a common set of ideals that set this nation into motion in 1776. And this is our moment to revive those common ideals. God is real. There are 2 genders. Fossil fuels are a requirement for human prosperity.
So
Reverse racism is racism.
Specifically, up until the racism thing, all things we don't agree on.
Nuclear family is the greatest form of governance known to man. Capitalism lifts us up from poverty.
No,
there
it does
are
not.
3 branches of
Very much
government,
does the opposite.
not 4. And the U.S. Constitution, it is the strongest guarantor of freedom in human history. That is what won us the American Revolution. That is what will win us the revolution of 2024. Thanks for letting me introduce myself tonight. Thank you.
Oh, he didn't rap.
Governor DeSantis.
Oh, bobblehead's here.
Governor?
This is our time for choosing. We will send Joe Biden back to his basement, and we will reverse the decline of this country. I'm a blue-collar kid. I work minimum wage jobs to be able to make ends meet. I understand the importance of the American dream, and I know how that's slipped away from so many millions of Americans. We'll restore it. I'm a veteran who served in Iraq. I know what it means to put service above self. I'm also a dad and a husband to 6'5" and 3-year-old. I understand the importance of protecting parents' rights and the well-being of our children. In Florida, we showed it could be done. I made promises, and I delivered on all of those promises. 2024 is make or break. We're not getting a mulligan. No excuses. I will get the job done, and as your president, I will not let you down. God bless you all.
Well, we want to say thank you. Thank you to all the candidates on the stage tonight, and thank you to Milwaukee.
Thank you, everybody. We will see you on the campaign trail, from debates to primaries to the general election and the conventions before that. Thanks for joining us. Sean Hannity from the Spin Room starts right now.
Take it away, Sean.
That's okay. Hey, listen, I enjoyed the hell out of that. I mean, not a ton of surprises, but I want to see your reactions. Jess Rush, pudding fingers. Yeah. John Doe, DeSantis really is a robot. That's true. Richard Hinckley, the Constitution traveled back from 1791 to 1776 and shot a bunch of redcoats. You're right. I'm sorry. I can't believe I forgot. That is what happened. The anti-corporatist, where's Jeff Bridges when we need him? Fair enough. Wireless Mike, here's the thing. I see your comment here, and you typed the words effing weirdo. And it concerns me dearly that because I didn't see when it popped up, I don't know which one you were referring to. Could it be the effing weirdo who eats pudding? I'll be honest, I've eaten pudding with my fingers. I've eaten tapioca with my fingers, but for God's sake, I've never done it around another living being. I'm a filthy slob, but at least I have the decency to be ashamed of it. Puddin' Fingers is called Puddin' Fingers because he did that in front of somebody else. Was it Vivek Ramaswamy who thought he would see if he can freestyle rap while on live TV? And has so little self-awareness, he didn't, or respect for the art even, he didn't think that might be a mistake. Is it Nikki Haley who wore a thick wool jacket in the middle of the hottest summer on record? Is it perhaps Chris Christie, who consciously chose to put on the tie that we all saw him wearing and come out in front of the cameras? Is it the guy that paid people $20, Governor Gumshoe or whatever the hell his name is, paid people $20 to give him $1 and says, put me in charge of the economy? Is it the guy who has a campaign built off pleasing people that but a few years ago were trying to hang him? Or is it the fucking guy with the comb over that's the generic politician? That's probably the only one who's definitely not who you're talking about, Asa Hutchinson. But Asa Hutchinson has simply not been looked at close enough, because I promise you, in a couple of months, we're going to find out facts that people more locally knew about him already that establish he is indeed an effing weirdo. So I guess what I'm saying is, can you clarify which one of those effing weirdos you specifically were thinking of when you said that? Leon Russo, I'm offering a free tub of pudding with a booger on top for all Republican voters. John Doe, not gonna lie, I want Nikki Haley's jacket. Yeah, if I'm real with you, it's not that I don't think it's fantastic. It is. I like a nice thick wool, and my God, a nice thick jacket in general. Who am I to say that's a bad choice? But for God's sake, in the middle of the summer, that jacket, that is a strong choice. Rex Trek, it's the pile of crap, hence all of them. John Doe, which weirdo? Yes, indeed. Oh God, Wireless Mike, it looks like smiling actually causes DeSantis physical pain. It does. It looks exactly like that. Yes, John Doe would be really entertaining if they didn't represent the only major party in the USA. Yeah. Democrats are the party of saying, "Please, sir, may I have another?" We're working to change that, though. Mars Falcon, haha, I forgot. Joseph Robinette Biden whooped Trump's ass from a basement. Thanks, Meatball Ron. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Leon Russo, I wasn't a SEAL, but I can do a pretty good Flipper impersonation. Yeah, I promise you, in Ron DeSantis's goofy head, when he's saying he was with the SEALs in Iraq, it means he went to like an aquarium they forgot to shell and was like, "Oh, look at that. Somebody should feed them, but I won't." And then left. Richard Hinckley laughing at Leon Russo. Yeah, that was a good one. The free tub of pudding was good. Tao and Jack, Mr. Scott, as a believer, people are repulsed by religion as opposed... Oh, Mr. Scott, as a believer, people are repulsed by religion opposed people... Oh, because people of God have weaponized it to admonish others while excusing their own sins. So, of course, there is hostility towards creed. Yeah, in full disclosure, I am an atheist, but I don't know. I feel a kinship with religious types. Maybe not people that that go to church but don't really think about it, but like the kind of I feel a kinship with the kind of people that agonize over that sort of thing. I don't know why, and it hurts. I don't like seeing the whole concept of religion just getting tossed out. I guess because I'm not that confident that I'm right about, this thing that has perplexed, this idea that has perplexed the entire species for all time. Go figure. But I do think that the best thing that could happen for religion is for all politicians to wash talk of it out their mouths. Like, for all politicians to come to a ladies and gentlemen's agreement that they're simply not going to specify what religion they are. And the reason being, when you tie those two things together, you make religion mortal. You tie religion in to something it's very specifically not supposed to be about. And it's heartbreaking to watch like the concept of Christianity have it cheapened by association with the U.S. presidency. I think candidates don't have a right to do that with any religion, nor should doing that result in votes. I think if you are a member of any religion and you hear somebody saying, "Well, I'm blank, so I believe blank," that alone should be enough to just not vote for them. And I say this knowing full well that every single one of them will do that to some degree, including Joe Biden. But it does cheapen religion, in my humble opinion. Rex Trek, I was going to do an Irish goodbye, but instead I thought I'd say goodnight. See y'all soon. See ya, Rex Trek. And you know what? Oh, I'm going to read the rest of these, but then I think I'll jump as well because that was a lot of fun, but my throat doesn't agree with me. Jess Rush, Nikki is an alien species of lizard people and therefore is cold-blooded, hence the jacket. Well, that makes sense. Leon Russo, atheists are more akin to Jesus than evangelicals are. I hope so. Lord, though, if I could turn water into wine, I'd still do this, but it would never be sober. The anti-corporatist, I mean, I hope I'm wrong and there is a God in an afterlife, but come on. Well, when am I ever wrong? Ha-cha-cha. Well done. Oh, Wireless Mike, separation of church and state should be maintained at all costs, and I'm a Christian. Yeah, I think so. Jim Green, like I said, a nation of idiots, sad but true. Oy vey. The anti-corporatists, oh hey, Rex Trek and Mars Falcon, I waved at y'all earlier on my way by LMAO. Y'all, I had a blast. Thank you for hanging out with me tonight. This is WYCD Wicked. That stands for What You Can Do. We look at the news and then say what you can do about it. If you're interested in Friday Peace Talks, well, surprise, it's on Friday. We'll see you then. But tomorrow, you know, we're covering Trump getting arrested again, and finally, it seems, getting a mugshot. Hot diggity daffodil. I can't wait. See you then. My name's Jake.